I'm glad to say I've been changed like President Joe. In the morning pursuing the wrong things. Now I wake up in the morning pursuing the Lord's name. Take me higher than the highest.
Instinct Radio, it feels good to be here. It's your boy Shout L.O. K.O.P. Right now, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. Instinct Radio. You ain't here, you ain't nowhere. So let's get it.
God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is Instinct Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
What's happening, man? Y'all already know who it is. Your boy CEO Michael Supreme, and I'm actually the host for this evening on the Regina Sunshine Living Like a Boss show, man. And so what I want to do right now, before we get started with anything, I want to give a big shout out to Regina Sunshine. She's out there with the family in South Carolina right now, getting a lot of things together for a major expansion that they're doing there. And she has me in the space to be able to take care of the home base right now, man. So this evening, what we're going to talk about is a lot of phenomenal things when it comes to impact. Because for all those that don't know, not only do I go by the name of CEO Michael Supreme, but I'm the #1 impact coach in the city of Atlanta, right? The #1 impact coach in the city of Atlanta. And what I do is work with entrepreneurs, entertainers, athletes, school teachers, politicians, the whole nine, church leaders. And I take you all and I show you how to take your brand, right? Take your brand or create a brand and utilize it to impact generations as a whole. And so my guy right here, he was coming on. This is Dewey da Don, right?
Yes, sir.
And so he's coming on as a guest for the day, but it looked like he's going to be a guest co-host for the day as more people come in and we really get going on what we're talking about today. And so, Dewey, brother, before we get started, man, I want you to introduce yourself to the people, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions before we even get an interview on you, bro.
All right, most definitely, man. It's your boy Dewey da Don, one half of Urban Republic, CEO of Loud Pack Productions, as well as I have a motivational speaking company, and I'm the global ambassador of youth for Usher's New Look. And I'm a Kansas City, Kansas native, man, Midwest hustler out here in the South trying to get it. Yeah, it is.
Already, man. And so, bro, quick question, man. What is that one thing, right? That one thing that you can say that you're the most excited about today? Like, we only at 12 o'clock right now, but for some people, like, their day is just starting. But I know you a boss like I'm a boss, just like a lot of people are bosses. So your day normally starts around like 4 o'clock in the morning. So you like on your third shift of the day.
Most definitely.
So for you, what is that thing that you're the most excited about right now?
I think the one thing that I always make sure that I wake up is with a curiosity and a hunger for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I might be a guest on this show. I might be the co-host. Whatever capacity that I'm in, I'm always looking for not only what I can contribute, but what is it that I'm going to learn. You know what I'm saying? So I always keep that sponge mentality, you know what I mean? And I get to come and fellowship with my brother, CEO Michael Supreme, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely looking forward to that, man. But, you know, it's time to feed ourselves and feed the streets, man. Knowledge is power, but only when you actually add implementation, action behind it. You did.
Well, you saying a mouthful, boy.
Yes,
I can't wait to get to the point where we start interviewing you for real, because you're saying a mouthful, man. And so for me, one of the things that I'm most excited about today, bro, is the opportunity for life. You know,
sure.
Like a lot of people forget about the simple things. You know, the opportunity to have eyes that you can blink with, right?
Right.
The opportunity to have a voice, a vocal cords that you can speak with, right?
Most
the opportunity to be able to have full functioning limbs that you can do whatever it is you desire to do in moving around the world, right? And one of the things that I'm learning, bro, as I progress and go through life and get to different areas and focus on different things, right? It's about having an attitude of gratitude, right? Being grateful for those very, 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 very small things. And we can find a way to be grateful for those things. What they do in that moment is open up the door for God to bless you with even more things, right? And so what we're going to do right now, y'all, is we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to go to a real quick break, and we're going to be right back in about 60 seconds, y'all. And we're going to get fully into who this guy, Mr. Dewey da Don, is, global ambassador for Usher's New Look, member of Urban Republic.
Yes, sir.
You know, phenomenal CEO, entrepreneur. All right, let's get it.
It's the Don.
Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine with the Living Like a Boss Men show, where we discuss business, occupation, service, and significance, giving our men a place to have a barbershop conversation with a purpose. Hi, it's your girl Regina Sunshine, bringing you the Regina Sunshine Show, my version of midday motivation, helping you get a Regina Sunshine state of mind. Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine, and they call me the Affirmation Queen. Why am I called the Affirmation Queen? Because I'm a big believer that if you change the way you speak, you'll change the way you think, and you'll change the circumstances in your life. So start today speaking words of life over you and your circumstances, and see if everything doesn't begin to line up with those things that you are speaking. And I want to leave you with these parting thoughts. Remember this: God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life. And take with you my personal motto. I always say it's not over till I win. If I hadn't won yet, that just means it's not over. So I tell you today, it's not over till you win. If you hadn't won yet, baby, that just means it's not over. Be blessed and keep winning.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Download the app on Google Play,
I'm on
Instinct Radio,
Facebook,
or go to instinctradio.net. And now, back to the hottest sounds around. Instinct Radio.
Curtains.
All right, y'all already know who it is. Once again, it's your boy, CEO Michael Supreme, Atlanta's #1 impact coach, right? And I'm here with the great Dewey da Don, man. The great Dewey da Don. And so what I'm going to do, bro, like I really want the people, the viewers, the listeners of what's going on today, I really want them to know who you are in detail, bro.
For sure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, man, you know, humble beginnings, just like most of us, man. I come from the Midwest, Kansas City, Kansas, where it was little to no opportunities to really develop myself in a positive way. You know, I grew up within two different extreme dynamics within my household. My father's side of the family was all hustlers, one of the biggest drug kingpins in Kansas City, Kansas, you know what I'm saying, Charlie Hustle.
Wow.
So growing up, I was exposed to a lot, but I always tell people don't get it twisted, you feel me, because from my dad side of the family, that's where I learned my hustle, my ambition, my drive, my first kind of entrepreneurial spirit, you feel me? Then on the flip side of that, I grew up watching my mom work 3 jobs just to take care of me and my little brother, you feel me? So I kind of had a balance between the streets and then just from my mom is where I got my basic principles on ethics, morals, and just being a good person. Fast forward in high school, you know, your boy was a hustler, man. I sold candy, I sold clothes. Sometimes I sold a little something that got me in trouble, you know what I mean? And ironically, how I got introduced to Usher's New Look is I was caught with an ounce of marijuana when I was a senior in high school. The only thing that kept me from getting expelled was the fact that I had straight A's and nothing but good comments to say about me from my teachers. So, you know, the same teachers that caught me taught my favorite class of marketing and entrepreneurship, man, and they looked beyond my circumstances and they saw opportunity to match my passion with education through Usher's New Look, man. Long story short, I applied. Out of all 500 students, I was one of 2 that was selected. And, you know, Usher's New Look kind of became the catalyst for me just really creating that ripple effect and changing my life and changing the trajectory of my life and everyone around me, man. So now, you know, I have even reinforced my entrepreneurial spirit by opening up 2 businesses. I got a production company. I got a motivational speaking company. I'm constantly pursuing, you know, my passion within music, and I went and obtained my degree in audio engineering here at Atlanta Institute of Music through a New Look scholarship, man. So I'm all about knowledge, wealth, and stability, you know what I'm saying, and just developing that blueprint of success that can really get you where you're going, but also encouraging other people and putting other people on game while you're doing the same. Like you said, we are a blessing to be a blessing unto others. You know what I'm talking about? So that's the realms that I live in, and that's the energy that I'm coming with. You feel me?
Man, that's dope, bro.
Yeah.
So I want to hit on a few points right there.
For
but
sure.
Before I do that, man, I want to make sure that everybody understands how I met this brother, right? Like, we have a mutual friend, a mutual mentor by the name of Gavin McGuire.
Great.
Right? Gavin McGuire. We're going to call him the GOAT, right?
Right.
And so he's actually the executive director over at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA. And so before that, he was the CEO?
Yeah.
He was the CFO over at Usher's New Look, right? And so to be able to go from Usher's New Look to be able to be at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA, the crazy thing is, at that YMCA, Gavin was my mentor when I was little at the YMCA, right?
Yeah.
And then he came over and was doing the same thing over at Usher's New Look. And what he told me, what he's been telling me since Dewey and I connected was, bro, like, I'm just waiting for whatever you two do together. Because whatever it is, it's going to be phenomenal, because it's like I'm looking at mirror images of both of you all when you connect, right?
Yeah.
And so a few things on what you were saying, bro. Straight A student in high school, right? Straight A student in high school, great conduct, everything the whole nine. Like, you would typically label that student to be the student that goes to Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, or something like that. So what was it? I know that your dad was in the streets heavy, and he was doing what he did. But what was it that put you in this posture where you had all the right things to get you to where you needed to be education-wise, that made you say, you know what, that's cool, but I really want to go over and get in these streets and hustle a little bit? What made you make that decision?
I feel like it was a couple of things, man. Lack of exposure, and then I want to say other people's expectations, because growing up, I looked like my dad. You know, I wanted to, you know, kind of emulate my dad and hustle, and people would speak his truth into my future. Oh, you gonna hustle just like your dad, you gonna be just like your dad. And when I say the lack of exposure, man, like, I really didn't know the power that I had to create within myself through education, or, you know, through doing things that was bigger than just what was presented to me. You know what I'm saying? What I felt like was for me. I thought, like, I was just a street dude. You know what I'm saying? When I would talk to my friends, despite the fact I had straight A's, that's not what I ran down on my homies with. Like, hey, you know, I'm on the honor roll society and whatnot. But I remember, like, even when I would joke to them, that they would kind of, I don't think they was aware of it, but they didn't encourage me positively. They like, what you gonna go to college for? You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no college for street dudes like you and stuff like that, man, and things like that. So other people's expectations kind of started to discourage me from doing better. But through other opportunities that I gained through New Look, I was just educated that basically, man, you are who you hang around, man. You know what I'm saying? So if you hang with wolves, you're going to learn how to howl. You hang with eagles, you're going to learn how to soar high. So I had to just really surround myself with a positive support system and people who were doing better than me. In return, I could grow and I could learn, man. But I honestly just thought hustling was the route for me. You know what I'm saying? I had never really been outside my community, and most of the positive role models of the people who I had seen have success, it wasn't in Wall Street, it wasn't in real estate, it was on the block, you know what I'm saying, getting it from the mud, man. So, you know, those types of things and mentalities kind of detoured me from making a change. But I learned later in life that God doesn't always place people in your life to be a positive example. Sometimes he places people in your life to show you what not to do. You know what I'm saying? So I had to just learn how to hustle in a positive way so I could have productive outcome, because you know, you could risk Fed time and you lose 10 years, man. You lost all your investment. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, so let me ask you this. You said you got how you could see people. Sometimes you could be around people, right? And they're wolves. And when you're around wolves, all you do is howl like wolves howl. But then you got people that are eagles. And when you're around eagles, you have no choice but to soar like the eagles do. So who are those eagles in your life right now that's helping you transform your whole entire life?
Oh, man, most definitely. You know what I'm saying? Shameless plug, I would have to say you are one of those brothers. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you do, man, and you bring to me, man, it's always positive, whether it's just purely extending your platform to uplift what I'm doing, or if it's something that we're kind of coming in to create from scratch, man. Gavin McGuire, you know what I'm saying? Yvette Cook, the president at Usher's New Look. You know what I'm saying? My mother, who just keeps me humble and grounded. My mentor of Usher, you know what I'm saying? Who is just really connected with me in a personal way. And it's even beyond music, man. Like, he's one of the people that showed me how to be a businessman and how to be a family man as well. Sean Wilson, you know what I'm saying? The first president of Usher's New Look Foundation, who has now moved on to Ford, but continues to provide me with opportunities and platforms, man. And then, you know, Mother God, you know what I'm saying? Most definitely just having my spiritual foundation in place, because, you know, in the midst of trying to achieve your dreams, sometimes life gets in the way, man. And when you in this type of work where you're so giving and giving and giving, you got to have things that are replenishing you as well. You go crazy out here, you feel me? So you got to stay full, man. You got to stay hungry at the same time, man. So I definitely keep folks who I feel is smarter than me around me, folks who making a little bit more money than me, folks who I feel like do business better than me. So thus, in return, like I said, I'm soaking up that game. Y'all heard me say, like, today, I'm here to soak up the game. That's how I approach life, you know what I mean? So if it ain't growing, I ain't showing. You feel me?
Got it. And so on, like, what you did was like a full 360, right?
Yeah.
A full 360, y'all, 100% 360. Like, you went from hustling and being in a position and in a posture where you gained a lot but you were risking a lot, right? And then you transition to the space right now where you're the global ambassador for Usher's New Look, right? But not only are you the global ambassador for Usher's New Look, you're doing a phenomenal work with a number of different things in the form of entrepreneurship, right?
Sure.
And so what I want you to do is speak towards those things in the form of entrepreneurship. Like, what are those things what are those principles or practices that you do on a daily basis, day in and day out, religiously, to help you become as successful as you are today? Because a lot of people are missing those small things when it comes to success. And so I'm just curious for you, what is it?
A few things, man. Let me just rattle them off real quick, shooting from the hip. First of all, I would say education. Education is so important, and I am, traditional education is cool, but I am a big advocate of non-traditional and informal education. So I learn a lot from conversations and watching YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, before I
YouTube
built
University.
on my mama, bro. Like, before I built my first studio in Kansas, what I did was I just went online and YouTube home studios, and I was just peeping out the equipment. I got my money right, and then I actually bought all the equipment. When it got to a certain point, and my old lady at the time, she was just like, you got all this equipment in this room, like, what you gonna do with it? So I had to hit YouTube again and actually figure out how to work the equipment. So self-education, man. And I always tell people that you should seek all opportunities to being an entrepreneur. A true entrepreneur is someone who sees a problem and they bridge that gap via a solution, and then they make that economically sound for them to make a streamline of revenue on it. Whether that be you are a college student and you recognize that all the fraternities and sororities and dang near every club at the campus needs to make T-shirts for branding. So if you can find a wholesaler that you can buy the T-shirts from for a cheaper rate, you can now provide an entrepreneurial platform to basically sell them the shirts for cheaper, and now you're making money. So I don't feel like everything as far as being an entrepreneur has to necessarily be your life focus or your life passion, but you should just seek opportunities to create new streamlines of revenue for yourself.
That's real.
Traveling, man, you know what I'm saying? Being exposed to different ways of life, culture, and doing business, whether it be domestically and internationally. Like seeing how people did business in China, seeing how people do business in Johannesburg. This gave me a more of a worldly perspective, and also realizing some of the things that I take for granted over here that might not be available over there. Speaking to what you were talking about earlier and being grateful, for the platform. And also, man, just fixing the things that are, I feel like a lot of times people feel like, the financial hardships that come from the African-American community is primarily focused around racism, which a lot of that systematic oppression does have to do with it, but it's also a lack of education. So the education unfortunately, they aren't teaching you how to make money in school. They're not teaching you how to practically build credit. They're not teaching you how to become a homeowner. They're not even teaching you how to be an entrepreneur or producer. They're teaching you how to be a consumer.
They're not teaching you how to really make it in this world.
Exactly.
They're teaching you how to be a slave in this world.
Exactly. So I spend most of my times basically myth busting what is just presented to be my truth. I feel like in this life there are absolute truths, but then there are truths that you create from that. And I feel like not enough of us are creating our own truths. We're running with someone else's truth, but that doesn't necessarily always fit or apply to your situation. You know what I'm saying? So knowledge building, man. And then also you got to spend a lot of time not just working on your idea, but fleshing it out via your team. Because when you are an entrepreneur that thinks at a high level capacity like me, I'm a visionary. I cannot be in the weeds of everything. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got a vision cast and you got a set, and then you got to have a team that you empower to actually bring it into fruition.
That's all the time.
All the time.
You got on the Chicago Bulls hat, bro. You look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has for his life. When he decided that this is what he was gonna do to create a legacy for himself and his family. When he decided to do that, and he became the greatest that ever lived at the game. Like when he played for the Chicago Bulls, but he didn't win back-to-back championships until he got the team, right? He was still as good as he was when he had Scottie Pippen and Rodman, but without Scottie Pippen and Rodman, he was nobody.
Exactly.
Right? And so that team, when it comes to success, that team is everything. And then being able to identify, right? Being able to identify the type of players that you need, right? If he didn't know I need an aggressive rebounder, right? He wouldn't have went to Detroit and said, I need one of them Detroit bad boys. He's scared to get down here in the dirt, get his hands dirty, and do what we need to do to get that ball so I can score, right? He wouldn't have known that he needed to get Pippen, somebody that's willing to be say, I'm a leader in my own right? I can run this game the same way Jordan run the game. But I have no problem being the number 2 man. I have no problem being Robin to Batman, because as long as I push Batman up, I'm gonna always be good.
And we're bringing the vision into fruition together. You know what I mean? Like,
that's exciting, bro.
It's power in that.
And so, question, in relationship to impact, right? In relationship to impact, because this is where I'm at, like for real, in every area of my life right now, but specifically on the financial side, right? A lot of people get into business and they do a lot of things for a financial goal or a financial gain. And so one of the things that I've learned throughout the history of doing business for myself is that when we're chasing the dollar, a lot of times we get to the dollar, but it's not long lived, right? Mm-hmm. But the one thing that creates that longevity with that money is impact, right?
Definitely.
And so a wise man, T.D. Jakes, once said, people want to be famous today, right? We look at social media, everybody is about the followers, the likes, the comments, all that other stuff. Everybody wants to be famous.
Right.
But the statement is, he who makes the most impact will be the most famous. And for me, it's he who makes the most impact will make the most money. And so with everything that you're doing, with all the different platforms that you have, when it comes to impact, like when it's all said and done, like the clock has stopped ticking for you, what type of impact would you have wanted to create in this world?
Man, the type of impact that I definitely like to focus on is making an impact within the youth and reinvesting what I feel like is the future, which is the youth, being, one of many of millions of stories of, someone who comes from an underserved community, an impoverished community, was once considered and labeled an at-risk youth. But I seen the opportunities that came when I was provided that opportunity and basically equipped with a skill set and given a shot to be exposed to something else, what I could turn it into. Now, wow. In the hood, who do we look up to? We look up to, the biggest rappers, the biggest superstars, and we just see them go from here to here. But I am trying to be that tangible form of success. I am doing.
Okay, cool. I'm just making
I
sure.
am providing. Most definitely. I am actually being that living example of tangible success and being able to come from A and get to B through hard work, through chasing opportunities and not chasing money, because I feel like the more that you chase opportunities to gain networks, opportunities, relationships, that the money will come, just like you said, man. But I just use my testimony as a platform to give hope to the hopeless, you know what I'm saying? Provide a voice to the voiceless, man, just like myself.
That's real dope, man. So we about to go to another quick commercial break. And so I'm going to ask you, like I asked you at the beginning, and you were lit, you was excited about it. But would you do me the honors of being a co-host with me today?
Oh,
not
yeah,
just
man,
a guest,
we with
but co-host
it.
with
Nah,
me.
for sure,
All right,
we can
cool.
run it.
And so we got coming up next, y'all, we got a brother by the name of Ryan Dunn coming up next. This is another one of these amazing brothers that I met over at the Andrew and Walter Young Family YMCA. Ryan's he's an aquaponics farmer, and he's going to talk a lot about that. But what he's done is something phenomenal that nobody else is doing right now, which is he's created a drink called Basil Lemonade. Like one of the healthiest drinks I've ever seen, one of the most tasteful drinks I've ever seen, that's able to really shift and transform a lot of things within the body. So we're going to have him come on. He's going to talk to us about impact. He's going to talk to us about his product. He's going to talk to us about his brand, and he's going to talk to us about what he feels like are those secrets, those steps that he takes on a religious basis to become successful in every shape, way, form, or fashion. Again, it's your boy Michael Supreme, Atlanta's #1 impact creator, and your boy Dewey da Don. All right, y'all, let's get it.
Swat.
Say what's happening, this your boy Shout Hello. Right now, you're on Instinct Radio. Let's get it. Shout it.
Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine with the Living Like a Boss Men show, where we discuss business, occupation, service, and significance, giving our men a place to have a barbershop conversation with a purpose. Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine, and they call me the Affirmation Queen. Why am I called the Affirmation Queen? Because I'm a big believer that if you change the way you speak, you'll change the way you think, and you'll change the circumstances in your life. So start today speaking words of life over you and your circumstances, and see if everything doesn't begin to line up with those things that you are speaking. And I want to leave you with these parting thoughts. Remember this: God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life. And take with you my personal motto. I always say it's not over till I win. If I hadn't won yet, that just means it's not over. So I tell you today, it's not over till you win. If you hadn't won yet, baby, that just means it's not over. Be blessed and keep winning.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is In-State Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right, y'all, what's happening, man? Y'all already know who it is. Once again, it's your boy, CEO Michael Supreme, Atlanta's #1 impact coach, man. And I'm here with the big homie Dewey da Don.
Chip.
And what we just walked in, my brother Ryan Dunn, all right?
Basil Me.
Mr.
What's
Basil
good, bro?
Me himself, right?
Glad to have
Mr.
you.
Basil Me himself. And so before we get started, Ryan, before you tell anybody about who you are or anything, right? Like all of the brothers that I connect with in any shape, way, form, or fashion, we all connect. We connect in business, but we always connect on a higher spiritual level as well.
Sure.
And so what I want to know from you right now, bro, like I asked Dewey, like it's 12 o'clock right now. It's like a little after 12.
Yeah,
but I know
yeah.
that people like us have been up since 4 o'clock in the morning,
Getting
on the grind, getting it, figuring it out, making things
Yeah.
happen. And so you're probably on the 3rd shift of your day right now, about to
Man.
go into the 4th. And so what is
Very
that
true.
one thing that you would say that you're learning from today, right now?
From today,
Yeah.
being present in the moment, bro. Woke up this morning, had a couple of shipments that I needed to get out. You know, they don't have to go out today. I try to plan in a couple of day, time frame, so no one's expecting it right away.
Right,
but I
right,
like
right.
to please the customer right away. You know, if it's within my, my
And
will
your
to do
means,
so.
yeah.
For sure. So yeah, this is definitely the second or third leg we got coming up right now.
That's dope. And so being present in the moment, what does that feel like to you?
Man, just being all the way attentive, not letting any type of distractions, alter my course of thinking. Because obviously I have to start the day with a certain thought process.
Right,
and
right,
I
right.
try
Exactly.
to maintain that thought process, believe it or not, every hour.
Right, right, right.
It doesn't really just forecast the whole day. You got to kind of keep revisiting that. So
Man,
staying in the moment.
Like in the Bible, we talk about dying to the flesh every day.
Right.
Daily.
Dying to the flesh
Daily.
daily. Dying to the flesh daily. So
Daily.
what you're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about is every hour, every hour, second,
bro.
every minute, like staying connected in that capacity.
For sure.
Man,
For sure.
Go ahead and introduce the folk to who you are, man.
So yeah, this is Ryan Dunn checking in. Appreciate y'all having me. The founder and CEO of Basil Me, that new thing, that alternative. If you haven't heard about it, you'll hear about it today.
No, for real. And so, just you got anything you want to ask him right quick before we dive?
Yeah, man, most definitely. So, first of all, I just wanted to ask you, like, what are some of the things that feed you? Like, who do you draw inspiration from? And let's even draw it specifically down to fellow other entrepreneurs. That's one thing that I spoke about today is, who you surround yourself around, and then, the opportunity to always seek knowledge. So, who are some people that, you get knowledge from?
Well, I would have to start first and foremost, as my man Mike Supreme put it. I start with the Bible. I
That's
got to
real.
get it right
Sure.
internally first, and that's usually my main spiel when it's my opinion acts of whatever the situations or challenges in the world. If we look internally first, man, the world will be a better place.
Right.
So I can't always, provide or change or be that resource, but nevertheless, I can always be better internally.
Right.
So I start there, but it's a couple of people I envy, man. When it comes to success, but most of the people that mentor me, they don't really know me. I just look at their successes, and then and from that point, just kind of build what I feel like I should use. Building block wise from that.
That's real.
And that's big, bro. Because I heard a wise guy once say, right? He's like, he was talking about the law of 33%. And it's like where you spend your time.
Yeah.
It's like 33% of your time supposed to be spent with people that's not on your level.
For sure.
The other 33 supposed to be spent with people that's on your level, so
Right.
iron can sharpen iron. And then like we were talking about a second ago, those eagles. Get around those eagles so you can soar like the
Exactly.
eagles. Put that other 33 or 34 around those types of people, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And so it's like when you talk about what you were just talking about, right? And being connected to people and the right people and all of that type of stuff, bro. Like that's huge. That's major. And I'm excited about the fact that you're consistently plugging yourself into spaces around people that can help you grow into the place that you desire to be.
Real.
And so tell us a little bit about this Basil Me product, man, because I know that from seeing you at the Y, like it's like when this concoction happened, right?
Yeah.
It almost looked like watching
Moonshine.
a kid. No. Like the way it was coming up, it looked like that. But when the excitement, right?
Right.
The excitement around the development of this product, bro.
Yeah.
It really looked like a kid on Christmas that it just opened up their favorite present that they've been waiting for, and they just want the whole entire world to see it and to know if everybody likes it just as much as they do. And so
pride,
tell us about this product, man, because I've been seeing it and it's been just doing some phenomenal things.
So Basil Me came about last year. I get all the time people say, hey, man, you've been rocking for a few years, man. Great job. I'm like, it's been 4 months and about a week. Nevertheless, man, I've been working in urban agriculture, aquaponics, and that's AQAPONICS, aquaponics. Hydroponic and aquaponic together, you have an aquaponic system.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it was funny that you mentioned TD Jakes earlier when I walked in, because I watched that full interview he did with us.
About the book Soar, right?
Man, it talks about how we pray for furniture.
Man, when I heard that, that's my go-to for everything.
So we pray for furniture. So I immediately plugged myself into a conversation with one of my fraternity brothers. He was talking about his dad who had just passed. And, I immediately thought about the fact that I was looking at how I was getting discouraged at the fact that no one wanted to procure funding or provide funding to push aquaponics forward so we can, have more sustainable behaviors in the community. And here I am praying for God to make furniture. I didn't have to have people believe in aquaponics because aquaponics gave me Basil.
That's it.
Didn't know Basil had the advantages it had until just being in that greenhouse every day, bro. Waking up, I'm feeding fish. Folks in traffic, not knocking the 9 to 5, but I'm literally waking up, I'm feeding fish, I'm harvesting plants, that kind of thing. So I was able to be still enough to hear that still small voice. And once it tapped me, man, it was just on. Like you said, you see me at the Y, kind of guinea pigging the population, because I knew that the elderly people would like to kind of have a water hole around the coffee area. So I felt like if I can utilize something to help them consume, some type of liquid to detox, then that's a win, So I started with the mint water. That went over well for a week. One lady was like, every time I drink something, you give me 10 minutes later, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, taboo conversation, but nevertheless, be able to share those small holistic, remedies. And then that next week, I started doing some stuff on basil. And basil, as we can see in my new brochure here, I gotta just kind of put that new flavor right there. Shameless plug, but it has some proven benefits in basil that I felt like, man, if I'm able to, concoct a drink with those benefits, then obviously that's a win. So really getting down to the nitty gritty why Basil Me is existence right now, and will it continue to exist because of the why behind it. I didn't get into it to become a beverage company. I got into it to teach kids sustainable practices and being self-sufficient. And this happened to be a value-added product to that.
And so 2 things, bro. One, for the people that are viewing this today that have no idea what aquaponics is, right?
Sure.
I want you to give them a quick rundown of what aquaponics is.
School them guys.
And then the other thing I want you to do is go into depth about the benefits of the basil in relationship to this basil lemonade, because it's like, not only is it good, y'all, like it has some serious, major health benefits that could help you get to wherever you desire to be.
Sure. So, basically, with the basil, how did I get to this point? You're saying, or
I just want to know what's the benefits from the basil.
The benefits of the basil.
What's the benefits of the basil, and then we'll tackle that first. And then we'll jump to the other.
All right. So the benefits of the basil, man, I've seen it help with inflammation all the way down to stuff like it's reported anti-aging. But personally, on a level where I've had people try it. And when they say anti-aging, I'll get down to the fact of how that is reversing your digestive system. You're not using your digestive system, that's kind of reversing aging. So anytime your digestive system is shut down, that's a good thing. So that's 1. 2, inflammation. Inflammation is the leading cause of sicknesses, ailments, and diseases. So anytime you're reducing that, you obviously are reducing the risk of cancer, diabetes, and a host of other things. So that being said, those things alone put me in a position to really want to take it a lot more serious, because obviously we add a lot of what they call empty calories to our diets or to our regular regimes, and they don't do anything for us, and they also become to be somewhat reacting negatively, consuming all those things. So whenever we can consume something when we're thirsty and it's not filled with sugar, then obviously that's a win.
Got it.
Those are just some of the benefits.
Right. And so then the other question, I'm gonna pass the ball over to my boy Dewey da Don for the alley-oop.
Okay.
But what is aquaponics, so that people can really get that? Because there's a lot of people that go around the city and it's like, dude, like, what is this aquaponics thing? Like, I hear a lot of people talking about it. It's popping up everywhere, but people really don't understand the dynamics.
Sure, it needs to continue to pop up everywhere, because that is an opportunity to feed us in the future. because as you know, we're populating the earth every day.
Right.
So if we're populating the earth every day, that means we're getting less and less land, right? And it's less and less arable land. at that.
Right.
So aquaponics is when you're able to cultivate plants without using soil. So basically, you take a hydroponic system where you usually have soil, or you have water, and plants growing out of that, but you have to mineralize the water.
Got it.
Whereas in aquaponics, it's just like manure when you use for terraponics, farming in the soil. Same thing for fish. So you use the fish waste in order to create the nutrients needed for plants to grow. So really, it's in scientific terms, it's a symbiotic environment where two biological species exist, plant and animal. So it's an ecosystem. So it's as close as the ecosystem as we can be by having aquaponics. So the fish swim, they swim. We feed them, of course. They create waste. Every time a fish creates waste, it has ammonia in they excrete ammonia from their gills. Inside ammonia, you have nitrogen. Nitrogen goes through a two-step chemical process from nitrite to nitrate. Then it goes into a filter, it goes into a grow bed where the plants take what they need, go through a photosynthesis process, and then it wishes the same water back around to the fish. So it's clean water and oxygen. So it's the same recycling water over and over and over. No different from when you go to a lake and you see a plant floating across the water. Most people have seen that. How did that plant get there? Well, that's aquaponics. That plant is actually consuming every piece of nutrient it needs from whatever's in that lake, obviously fish creating waste, and it's able to grow. So you can contain that process by taking that exact same things you see, putting it in the grow bed, planting the seeds you want to see grow, getting the fish in a separate container, have it filter through where your plant is planted, and goes from there.
So as y'all can see, Ryan is a scientist.
Boy, Kim is
Ryan is
right.
a scientist, boy.
Right.
Like, you know, you go to the hospital and the doctors start talking to you and they start saying all of these words. And
And
it's
you
like,
just
dude,
start,
it's like, yeah, whatever. I get it. I feel you.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
seen the plant floating down. I seen that.
Look. Right.
Well, you
So
know.
what it is, y'all, this aquaponics thing, the thing that blows everybody's minds about it is when you go into a room and you see plants growing out of something that's not the ground.
Exactly.
Right? Growing out of something that's not the ground. We could literally sit this right here, put something on top of it, and put a fish bowl.
There you
There
go. There you go.
Put a fish bowl right there, right? And have a
Yep.
little fish floating around the fish bowl.
Yep.
And when this fish poops, right?
Boom.
When it
Magic
poops,
happens.
it goes over here to fertilize the plant so the plants
sure.
can grow. And
Yep.
so it's a phenomenal way to grow plants. It's more organic, it's more healthy, like the whole nine. And so that's one of the things that blows everybody's mind when it comes to aquaponics. But I'm gonna throw this alley-oop.
Yeah, for sure, man. And before because I got a couple of different questions, man, but I just want to speak to the awesome work that you guys doing, because when I think of entrepreneurship, I think it's a necessity, because an entrepreneur at heart is basically a survivor. You know what I'm saying? We're going to survive. And when you talking about creating sustainable measures, a way to survive through healthy eating and living and having more longevity in that way, I think that that's definitely a hot topic that's being overlooked. And the fact that you are introducing this into communities like in the SWATs and the South Side, bro, that's dope, man, because like I said, I'm all about feeding the streets. That's real. When I was hearing you were implementing a lot of practical business tactics, whether that be, you know, having a test group and kind of like soft launching the product and then getting that word of mouth to kind of do like a harder release and things like that. And one thing that I love about Basil Me is the branding and the packaging. So like, tell me about like what was your ideas and some of your strategies behind branding, and secondarily, how do you use social media or technology to further push your message?
Sure. Branding, well, it came down to wanting it to be, I went through a couple of different logos. Once I found out the proven benefits of basil, of course, I'm not making any claims or cures, but the idea of me using it as my foundation, I obviously want to highlight that and market it. But as far as the name, I didn't want to just call it a basil lemonade or a basilade. That was pretty obvious. But, you know, just something that was catchy, something that was, you know, of the time now, you know, current times, and just something that I know that people easily say. So in a conversation with my oldest brother, he actually used to be like this magnificent drawer, and I just wanted the basil logo. I thought I wanted like a cool basil leaf, like a person with a crown. Because in my research, I was finding out all of these different things about basil, even that it was, you know, it's a holy basil. that we can get out there, and it's also derived from a Greek word Basileus, which means king. So I felt like they were hiding something from us in the basil, so I kind of wanted to highlight that in the logo somewhere.
Right.
But nevertheless, in today's time, you kind of want to be mindful on what the product, looks like. So it's not too
culturally
Right.
sensitive.
Like,
yeah. So, I want them to pick it up and just be like, oh, I want it, not who made it,
Right.
Nevertheless, speaking to him about it, I'm like, man, draw me a basil leaf, man. I know you could do it. He's like, man, I don't draw no more. That was like years ago. And as we continue to talk, he just said, I said one or two things, and it just triggered something in him. And right away, he just said, Basil Me. And I was like,
fire.
What, like, as in the name? Like,
Yeah.
Basil Me, like BASIL space me. Like, I said, man, that's dope. I said,
Yeah.
I mean, even thinking about it now, it's almost like it just happened because I knew right off, like, man, that's the name, Basil Me.
And
like,
it kind of made it transcend from a product to a lifestyle or way of living. You know what I'm saying? That you can claim and own right now by through participating. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's dope, man. My last question for you would be is one thing that I just picked up from you speaking. You were talking about, or Michael was talking about, kind of like the sense of pride that the people had in the product, knowing like it's not their product, but someone who looks like them, someone who they're familiar with was able to actually start something like this. But this is one thing that we talk about in the office a lot, is that you don't really have a lot of community support as far as like towards black entrepreneurship from other African American or people of other ethnic groups. You know what I'm saying? So what do you feel like is holding us back? Or is this a false narrative? Is that not even true? You know what I'm saying? Because I hate publicizing fake news, and sometimes they put it out there and that's not even the truth. News. So let's talk about it.
For sure. It's a block there. It doesn't have to be. I'm a firm believer that things can change. We can change things, but it has to be together.
For sure.
I don't feel like we share enough information in order to make everyone comfortable with the change. I think people who have certain ideas and certain businesses and platforms, they're looked at and idolized by people who don't. When in actuality, it shouldn't be an idolization. It should be more like a tutelage or some type of mentorship. Some type of gravitational pull where it doesn't create negativity, because that's all that spews out of that. Race, class, and culture. We got to get beyond that. And because those things are always effective, we just divide it. I mean, everything divides us. Our religion divides us. Our color divides us. Our favorite teams divide us. Where we're from divides us.
How much money we make.
How much money we make. How much money we don't make.
Exactly.
Where we live. Where we don't live.
What do they call that? Classism?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So because we put so many different things in classes and just boxes, man, it's hard for us to navigate different situations without resistance, because you never know what this person thinks of you, and at the end of the day, you don't really know this person. So you try not to just judge off of not knowing, but at the end of the day, it's just hard to kind of bring that wall down.
No, that's right.
But I'm gonna come up with a parody where Basil Me is gonna be the answer to everything. So we don't get along, Basil Me. You don't like going home, Basil folks, Basil Me. You don't like being in traffic in Atlanta, Basil Me.
No, for real.
I'm with it.
Right? One of the things I like about you, brother, like for real, is you remind me of, and I'm not that old, but you remind me of the younger me, right?
Okay.
And the younger me, when I started doing a lot of things in the form of entertainment, I was doing high school parties. And so I was literally taking high school kids and putting them in the club. And as I got older, I couldn't understand why these parents would allow me to put their kids in the clubs that I was putting them in. We were doing old strip clubs, like after-hour spots, like the whole nine. And the parents were 100% comfortable with their children coming and plugging in with this. But what happened was we were developing this team. And so when these kids were a part of the team, they had to maintain a certain GPA to stay a part of the team. They had to be a part of a club athletic program. They had to maintain a certain GPA. They had to do a certain number of community service hours, the whole nine. And so what that was doing was it was a vehicle that was allowing these kids to set up a solid college resume without even knowing that they were doing it, right? Like it was utilizing peer pressure and flipping it into a positive thing, right?
Sure.
And so when you mentioned earlier about Basil Me, it reminded me of that, because my sister told me when I was younger, she was like, yo, dude, one day you're going to stop trying to pull the blanket over everybody's eyes with what God called you to do, and you're just going to go for it full on. Like me attacking those kids in that way was me pulling the blanket over their eyes. I'm going to give you this, but in order to maintain it, you got to get this.
Sure thing.
And so what's happening right here with the Basil Me is, it's a dope drink. Like, it's beautiful, it's colorful, the branding is nice. Like, people see it, they drink it. Jack, you mind coming and drinking one for us?
Should it come cold?
You're the only one that can taste it, man. We got to get that real life feedback on it. You got all of this, But then the sideline thing that you just slid by that people could miss, like if they don't pay close attention, is it's not about the Basil Me. It's not about the product. It's about the impact that you're going to create for the youth through this product.
Exactly.
The knowledge that you're going to be able to give. So if you feel like it's time to speak a little bit about that on this platform, I would love for you to speak about that, because that's the real passion and purpose behind it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you asking me that question, because your viewers, my viewers, Instinct Radio's viewers, to get the chance to really know.
Viewers.
Dewey's, how did I forget the Don?
Yes, sir.
But nevertheless, yeah, man, I don't really get a chance to tell the story within exchange of, just a sale in a sense. But when I do get a chance, I put it out there, because that's the real reason behind it, the why that we spoke of. If y'all haven't checked out the third most watched TED Talk, Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
Man. We had him at New Look.
Yeah, he's watched that. But nevertheless, yeah, man, it gets back to what my new book will be. Has to do with staff. Another shameless plug. It has to do with a staff. I know people think work staff initially, but nah, it's like the staff again revisiting that biblical thing.
Yeah, that's
The name of the book is Staff.
Staff.
Okay.
Staff, find your staff. I'm still working on how I want it, but staff is the key word, not people, but your staff. Because I was definitely thrown amok with the idea of why I'm now holding this lemonade in my hand, because I set out to teach kids food production and sustainability, and all of a sudden, convicting anxiety woke me up about this. After I found out that it did these benefits, and I got one or two, testimonials, I'm like, okay, then the why. The people were coming to me like, hey, you made this? Can you make it again? It tastes good. I'm like, no processed sugar, and it tastes good. Somebody's lying to me. But nevertheless, that's what made me take it serious. So that following week, convicting anxiety, bro.
That's
like
dope.
when I in my sleep, between that sacred hour that people like to say, between 2:50, always after 2:50, before 4, that I woke up and I had convicting. But before Basil Me was a thing. But Basil Lemonade had existed, but not Basil Me. But when I say convicting anxiety about get up and make this lemonade, like I was late for school, 8th grade, wake up, oh man, I gotta get up, bus gone, you got that feeling in your chest. That's how I felt. Like, you gotta make this lemonade. I'm like, for who? Who coming to get it? But yeah, nevertheless, here we are. So with me having this opportunity now, I'm able to get whose attention can I get? A lemon is a universal product. It's not anyone out there who does not identify with that, right? So here I am with now this. I'm like, well, thought I was using aquaponics is my message, again, praying, asking for furniture. I gave you aquaponics. Now, you got basil. Now I got basil lemonade. Now I got people actually saying Basil Me. As this continues to gain traction, like how with the American Heart Association did the little video, not little video, but the national platform they put me on. That's God showing me the provision on what He'll continue to do. So my message of the why on sustainability and self-sufficiency has to be pushed through me wearing basil paraphernalia and carrying a glass of lemonade for the rest of my life.
Yo,
to push my original agenda.
Yeah,
because originally I'm like, lemonade, hold it up to the left, back up, call somebody and tell them, okay. Like, it was just all weird.
Right.
Lo and behold.
But the crazy thing about God, man, when He put a calling on your life, when He call you to do something, it almost never makes sense. Right?
Almost never.
And you literally have to step out of the physical of this world and develop that relationship,
and
right?
walk in that faith.
It's like when we talk about spirituality and religion, like people point it in so many different type of ways. They talk about religion putting God over there, spirituality telling people that God is right here, and it's about a connection. But at the end of the day, what I'm learning throughout life is what God wants is that solid relationship, right?
Oh yeah.
And then when you get that solid relationship, you're able to hear. You're able to hear why this makes sense, right? You're able to hear what He's gonna do with this Basil Me for the world, right? And so I'm excited about that, man. And so as we go, we're about to go back to commercial. But before we do, man, you spoke 2 times about the TD Jakes piece. And so for everybody that hasn't seen that TD Jakes clip,
go do it.
Go check it out. Like, it's TD Jakes' interview on the book Soar, right? But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, that piece that Ryan was just talking about, what TD Jakes said, he was talking about, like Ryan said, what people pray for, right? And he was saying that you could be a carpenter, right? And as a carpenter, you might want a new bed. You might want a new a dresser, a new chair. And what's happening is people are praying for the bed, people are praying for the chair, people are praying for the things, right? And what God is doing, God doesn't do that at all, period. What God does, He says, okay, cool, this is the tree, right? This is the tree. I'm going to give you the tree, and what your job is to do is to be able to look at that tree from every angle and be able to see the chair within the tree, right? Be able to see the dresser within the tree. And so when God blesses us, He blesses us with the opportunity, right?
Yep.
And our blessing back to him is what we do with that opportunity.
For sure.
So as entrepreneurs, as people that live in the world, as entertainers, as whatever it is, as actors, as actresses, as doctors, as lawyers, as whatever you want to be, school teachers, like your blessing back to God for him blessing you with what you have is what you do with it and how you utilize it to impact generations, all right? So y'all, we're going to be back in a quick second, and we got the big homie Craig King coming in, and
Yes,
we're going to
sir.
talk about some phenomenal things, all right, y'all? Let's get it.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine with the Living Like a Boss Men show, where we discuss business, occupation, service, and significance, giving our men a place to have a barbershop conversation with a purpose. Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine, and they call me the Affirmation Queen. Why am I called the Affirmation Queen? Because I'm a big believer that if you change the way you speak, you'll change the way you think, and you'll change the circumstances in your life. So start today speaking words of life over you and your circumstances, and see if everything doesn't begin to line up with those things that you are speaking. And I want to leave you with these parting thoughts. Remember this: God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life. And take with you my personal motto. I always say it's not over till I win. If I hadn't won yet, that just means it's not over. So I tell you today, it's not over till you win. If you hadn't won yet, baby, that just means it's not over. Be blessed and keep winning.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is Instinct Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? Again, y'all already know who it is. It's your boy, CEO Michael Supreme, the #1 impact creator in the city of Atlanta, man. And I'm here with the big homie Dewey da Don.
Chill.
And the GOAT, right? The GOAT, Mr. Craig King, right?
What's going on,
so, brother.
My man.
I'm excited to see you, man.
You know how I feel about y'all dudes,
man. Excited
Family,
to see you,
man.
bro. And so, I let Ryan and Dewey give me a little bit about how they feel about the day first.
Yep.
But I'm going to go ahead and dive right in into how we met, right?
Okay.
And so the crazy thing is, all of these phenomenal brothers that are on the show today, they've come out of connections over at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA, right? I remember when we first met, we was in a meeting. It was me, my mother was there, Dr. T, who's been on the show before, who's the 30-year educator here in the city of Atlanta, and then Char Bates, who's a social media specialist. They were all in the room. And so Gavin steps out, right? And he's like, hey, I got somebody I just want to sit in a meeting with you right quick. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Come sit in the room, and you just literally just sat back the way you're sitting right now, just sat back and just observing. And I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? He not saying nothing. He just sitting here soaking up information. Like, I'm like, I don't know if he need to be in here, because I don't know him. And he's soaking up this information. What's going on?
Right.
And then the hound started asking the questions, right? And so the hounds, like, I listen to Damon Dash, and I've been, my whole entire life, I've been surrounded by women, right? And so for a period of my life, I was like, why can't I keep guys around me? Like the masculine energy to help balance out this feminine energy, right? And Damon Dash didn't tell me, like, it's the mentor piece that Ryan was talking about earlier. Like, some of your mentors you don't even know. You see them on YouTube or you read about them in books. Like, I was listening to Damon Dash on the radio show one day, and on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about how the women around you, when you have women around you in that capacity, that's when you have the most balanced and most solid team, because women will go hard for you regardless, as long as you treat them right. And so the hound started doing what the hound started doing, which was asking 1,000,005 questions, which gave me the opportunity to sit back and be like, how is he responding? How is he moving? Like, who is he for real? And you still didn't tell nobody who you were. Like, you just sat in the room, and then you just provided gems and value on technology, the whole nine. And I'm like, oh, so that's what he do. He in the tech field. Okay, cool.
The right field.
And then I asked Gavin after we left, I said, Gavin, who is this man? Like, what does he do for real, for real? And then Gavin shined light on a different side. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the thing that really excited me about you, man, was that, just like I told Ryan, there's something that you're really passionate about, which is the technology component. But in order to get people plugged into that technology component, you gotta have the carrot that drags them into it. And so even though the carrot is a pretty carrot, like your focus isn't the carrot, right? Your focus is that technology piece, right? And so that's how we met. And I'm excited about you having the opportunity to plug in with us on this show today. But just like myself and the other brothers that's been on the show so far, I know that this is probably the 4th or 5th part of your day, right? Because when you're a boss, like your day starts around like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Facts.
And so from where you were this morning to where you are right now, what is that one thing that you're learning about from today?
Man, it's still all about that relationship between work and play and family.
Okay.
I'm still trying to manage that. That's going
balance.
to be that thing, that balance right there, But before I say any more, you pretty much summed up my day by telling me all you just told me about me. I appreciate you. I can leave now, actually.
All right.
I'm in that tech world, and then right after this, 2 tech meetings and then a music studio thing.
Okay.
So that's my world, but between all of that, I still got to grab my daughter. We got to read. We got to check her homework.
For sure.
So that's just, and I'm sitting there with 2 strong dads, so I got a whole lot to be thankful for right now.
Man,
you know what I mean?
real. That's real.
And I'm just literally getting off the road. My parents celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, so
dope.
celebrating that union, man,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gave me
yeah.
a whole lot of energy too. So
that's really dope.
I'm glowing right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Already. And so tell the people a little more about who you are for real, because you say I gave them everything, but I literally just crashed the surface.
Man, but it is really everything, because I don't do the microscopics. I just kind of do the overview about my life, because I hate to ever sound like I'm bragging and boasting, man. I just kind of lay it out there. That's why I typically, you know what it is, I typically sit and do more listening than talking.
Right.
And then I
That's
just
great
put
stuff.
what I can into the conversation, because in the end, it's all really about uplifting my people.
That's right.
So whatever I can do, wherever I can fit in, that's where I'm going to go. You
Definitely.
know? And I just recognize that there is a technology deficit in our community. So
Definitely.
I break my back to
Right,
fill
right.
that need. You know
Right.
what I mean? We got enough music. I mean, I love music.
Yeah.
I love it. Obviously, it got me where I am.
Right.
But tech has really helped me to alter some trajectories for my people, man, from schools to hospitals to community centers to non-for-profit organizations to churches. It's really been helping me help others.
Right.
Enabling people to move at the speed of light, the way tech works, you know what I mean? And able to monetize things that they took for granted.
Right.
Bodies in seats and
Right.
all these wonderful databases and email addresses and all of that. How do you manipulate that and market to your people without exploiting your people? There are a lot of great things that come with tech, man. So that's, I've always been trying, ever since I got to Howard University, it was sort of put upon me to figure out a way to give back and be robust about that. And everybody has their mission, man. Everybody's doing it their way.
Right.
I don't really challenge it. I just say, you do your thing, I do my thing, and we all meet up in the middle somewhere, and compliment our families and take our children's children to the next level, right?
That's what it's about, that generational impact.
Yeah. So I'm loving what I'm seeing right now and with Nas and others. I'm sure y'all are hearing all the stuff that's going on with his investments and stuff like that. So I'm always trying to find ways to enable other people to play in the tech space too.
Right.
So we have a venture fund too. So we do a lot of different things, you know what I mean, to help people figure out where they want to put their money, or how to make the money to put it somewhere,
Got it.
So that's where I am.
And so for the people that don't know exactly what you do in the tech space, how would you sum that up?
Man, so we make apps, we make platforms. Imagine if you have, give you an example, if you have, shout out to Brandon Chris too. That's my dude. He ain't here. He's in Cincinnati today.
Okay.
But imagine if you have a whole lot of people in your network. Say like an organization that has lots and lots of people who, and I say a lot, 200, 5,000, 10, whatever. But if they don't all have a central place to go and look for themselves, they don't really know each other exist.
Right.
If you go to a place like WeWork, for example, at the gathering spot, you got all these people here who are signed up every month to be a part of this organization, to go and not only network, but work and do everything. Right. But what if I'm standing next to him and I don't know what he does?
Right.
I'm at the bar, we're just chilling, but we don't know what each other does, and we don't have the time to talk because we're there doing some other stuff.
Right.
If I had a platform I could go to every month, or I'm signed up to this, I pay every month, I now know everything this brother is doing because he has a platform just like me. So we're both on this platform. I should say we both have profiles on this platform. And so in a short, it would basically be, I'm paying monthly, he's paying monthly, we find out more about each other, or it may be a platform that you don't even have to pay for, but we're both on this thing. So now we find out what each other's doing. It's similar to LinkedIn, but it's more inclusive, and it's also still there's a level of exclusivity to it.
Right.
Because it's not mainstream.
Right.
It's inside of an organization, but we're paying monthly. And so we now get to know what each other's doing.
Right,
and
right.
these are the kind of things that we build,
Right.
which enable the organization to now monetize all those realities, all those profiles, all those individuals. Because everybody's got a story.
Definitely.
Very rarely do you meet people that don't have some kind of aspirational kind of story,
Right.
and they need to know a guy like you.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to reach you.
Yeah.
And this organization right here, whatever this network is, they could have a platform.
Right.
I could build a whole platform for them.
Right.
And they could have everybody that's listening go and upload their own profile to that platform. And if they pay, I don't care if it's $1 a month, guess what? Now they have access to all these different people's ideas. They can communicate with them. They can find out more about whatever this product is, whatever you're up to, whatever. And it's not that much to pay when you consider how much you do anyway a day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you pay for apps for just to find out where the hamburgers are. I mean, you're doing, we still much. Why not build with a community?
Yeah.
And do something special.
Yeah.
So we do that kind of stuff, organizations, and it's just been wow how it's been making a huge difference in our community.
That's dope. And so
and these are just some of the things we do. We also have hardware. We supply a lot of hardware. General King Hardware, which is the name of the company, General King. We supply a lot of hardware to organizations too.
That's dope.
So we have our own hardware line. So we sell tablets.
Right.
Message.
Chromebooks. We do all that.
Quick,
stuff.
right?
We don't have any plug in America telling us how to do this and that. I control everything. It's straight up black owned.
Wow.
So,
and that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal because it's difficult for people to go through and find that type of process that's 100% black owned.
Right. It's I know we're in the rarity now.
Yeah.
Minority now. I know we are because every time I talk to people, they're like, wait a minute. You say you have a hardware. What do you mean by that? They always have to. And when I explain to them that we're not buying from Microsoft. We have a literal company
that's crazy.
Literally
no middleman.
Right.
That's crazy. Frank Lucas the game, right?
Yeah,
right, exactly. Blue
Frank
Magic.
Lucas the game. So I'm about to alley-oop it to you.
All right, cool.
But another question for me, man. You have a daughter, right?
I do.
You have a daughter, and I know you love your daughter. She's phenomenal because I've seen her on multiple occasions, right?
You rarely see me without her.
I'm trying to tell
Facts.
you, this is one rare occasion that she's not
Facts.
here. But so the question for me is, we got a lot of kids that are growing up today, right?
Yep.
And these kids are getting more sucked into technology than we were, because for us, technology wasn't really, it was existing, but it really wasn't existing as we were coming up. But for them, technology is everything right now. So how do you create a balance between education and technology?
It's tough.
Fun and technology. Like, how do you do that?
It's tough. It's a tough call because part of me wants her to know more about it than I know about it.
Yeah.
And so, but obviously, I want her to be balanced, and I want her to have social skills, and I want her to go outside and play.
Right.
But then there's the other part of me that says I don't want her to fall behind in that space because there's another group out there. The other argument is these children were born into this, so this is really all they know. Right. We were born into some things. Y'all were born into some other stuff that we were born into. And each group, like for example, my truck. It's got what do you call that? Not automated, but autonomous driving. Options. Right. So when I pushed that button, man, like I drove to Tennessee, I didn't have to touch the steering wheel most of the time. Wow. Well, when I got in my other car, I almost had a wreck. Wow. Because I forgot that it doesn't have all that. You know what I mean? Right. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And it was a lot of things that this truck can do that this car has another set of great technology, but it has a different kind. Right. And so so my whole thing is if you're not well versed in tech, you will fall off the bridge because there's some things that a child is going to know that the other child just isn't going to know. Right. And so it's a balancing act, man. We're always trying to play between digital books versus hard books. Right. The real Bible versus the app. Like, you have to kind of know them both, man, because the expectations are different now. Right. And our children, if I don't let her do both and figure out that balance, somebody else is going to be out in front of her, and they may end up with a really great tech job because they were allowed to do certain things, or they were up on certain tech before my daughter was. So I'm always trying to. It's a balancing act. So
it's almost like just providing them with the options.
Providing them
with the options, as many options as you can,
and monitor her.
Got it.
And keep parental advisory stuff on top of
everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dewey, bro, what's happening?
Oh man, you already know, man. So
I don't know. It's like I'm in a little dream team situation right now.
Hey man, definitely is, bro. Right? Like the Harlem Globetrotters right now.
Y'all know what this love is right here, right? Like I done done talked to y'all on so many different levels.
Yeah, we definitely got the fan bam in the building, man. So, one thing first, I just like to, you know what I'm saying, applaud you and say that I admire you trying to bridge the gap. Not trying, but you are bridging the gap in that deficit that you're speaking about as far as us being consumers within technology and turning around and being producers. And when I think about the entertainment industry, it's two people that always come to my mind that are very pivotal in this message. One is Chameleonaire with the convos, and then I'm not even gonna say one or two, and then it's you. You know what I'm saying? Because I seen the success that you had within music, just like Chameleonaire did, but you actually saw kind of around the curve and saw this emerging field and said, I got to be a part of it, but I'm not going to let them just use my face value, my face card, and put my face and my name on something. No, I'm going to actually be the producer, the curator. And I feel like that message is very important. But I want to know what are some of the things that you had to sacrifice in making that leap? Because I know with making such a hard transition, a lot of people might not have saw value in you stepping in that space, and a lot of times people's expectations is stick to what you know. But what were some of the things that you had to sacrifice in going into that space, and what were some of the things that you yielded from that?
Man, you got some crazy questions. Good question. Well, first of all, let me just say this. You know, when you turn the page in any industry that you had success in, people question it.
Facts.
I had enough success in music and still am. But I've had enough where people don't really want you to leave it. They don't want to see you see yourself in a different way. Right. They want to keep you where they had you. They want to brag about you in that space. They want when they invite you to an event, they want to say that's what he does. They don't like to dilute that. They feel like it's a dilution. They don't see it as an augmentation. Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And so for me, man, it was really interesting initially going to LA, because I was always going to LA to do music, and then starting to go out there, and instead of staying in LA, I would go up north and start hitting that Silicon Valley. It was a little tricky for even my family. Like, man, they're not used to seeing me in Santa Clara. They want me to stay in Los Angeles and West Hollywood and all that. That's where everybody. Yeah, because I've been doing that for 30 years, just straight music, film, whatever. And then, man, it hit me one day, like, in the end of the day, as much as I love music, I feel like I'm empowering not only myself, but my family and my friends and all the people who I've known in the music industry. As they get older, they're looking for not exit strategies, but other things to do. Exactly. Even if they're successful, they're still looking for other things to do. Right. So my thing was, let me jump on in this other sandbox. Right. It's going to be a little inconvenient. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's going to be a little message shifting. It's going to be a little narrative changing. But let me do it anyway, because as y'all know how close I am to my daughter. Right. What if she chooses not to do music? What if I don't have an option for her that is really viable, that can really help her see? Like, I'm like, at least with tech, there are so many aspects to it. With music, there are, but you know, tech, it's just wide open, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so my thing was, let me do a great service to her. I've already done tons and tons of music. I got a real serious catalog. So she's got that. She'll eat off of that. Right. But let me figure out a way to teach her how to fish. Because, you know, she sits in the studio and watches me play and all of that. But I always hated when people insisted that you become what they were. Like, I would hate to be Michael Jordan's son. Like, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that kind of pressure would feel. You know what I mean? And I would hate to put that on her.
Shoot, that's like Martin Luther King.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I'm just like, is it fair, though? Really? Like, can I find any other things for this child to do? So I was just doing some shifting around in my own brain. And as a result of that, I just said, you know what? I'm going to do this. It's a natural transition for me, and to be completely honest with you, I got yanked into it by some guys out of Asia. They saw it for me before I saw it for myself. But once they brought it up, I knew God was talking. I didn't even hear them anymore. That's it. You know what I mean? I went straight to China, started building all my relationships up there, and I felt like at that moment I was really grabbing my career by the horns. Because even being in the music industry, there is an aspect of it that if you're not at the top tier, like Jay-Z level, someone's still guiding you.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you feel like you're in control, there's still somebody that can cut or not cut your check. There's something that's not so cool about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if you just have to wait around for publishing checks. What if BMI decided to close down?
Exactly.
Now, how are you going to track your money?
Exactly.
Like, they're just little things that you're not really in full control.
Right.
And in the world that I live in now, I feel like I'm absolutely in control. And that was something that I've always wanted, because my mom and dad are both entrepreneurs, and they control their businesses my whole life, and I witnessed it. And so it was a little weird for me not having that kind of control over my own career for 30 years in the music game. And, you know, and I'm watching CEOs having to sell music out of their trunk. So I'm like, that ain't it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, and they're bosses, right?
Right,
I'm like,
right.
well, why you gotta sell out your trunk? But they wanted more control, because they realized they were even slaves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Michael Prince, like slaves. They tell you point blank, I'm a slave. Like, even if they made money, they're in the end of the day, they still felt like slaves, and I just didn't like that.
Because you're the employee at that point. You know what I'm saying? To be quite honest, you know what I'm saying? For sure.
Just a product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're milking your brand, and you're not even getting all the milk out of your own brand.
Yeah. You're getting the scratch.
And you're right. So there's some things about that industry that, you know, it gave me some awakenings, man. I had a couple of epiphanies around that.
Yeah.
And I looked around other industries, and I was like, medicine, no, they don't work for themselves either. Like, I had to think about a whole lot of industries, right? Not that I was gonna go into medicine, but I had to look at the big picture. Like, really, there are a lot more slaves here than we know.
Exactly.
They might have a Tesla and a mansion, but there's still a level of slavery wrapped around it.
That's real.
Because you just bringing up so much. what excites me the most about that is the American dream that we are sold is that you go into college to acquire debt, to work for corporate America, to hopefully get yourself out of that debt. But earned income credit is one of the most highest taxable forms of income. So that even in itself, and just purely investing in the banks and things like that, but as an entrepreneur and as an investor, you get substantially taxed less. So to your point, I think that these are some of the principles and the things that are being overlooked that speaks toward that freedom that you can have. Because at the end of the day, when you are working under anybody, you are working under their dream. And guess what? You are building up equity that you cannot take away with you. When you die in a company, before your obituary is printed out, they're going to have a job posting. You know what I'm saying?
Talk.
Like, and that's how it is. And
that's
that's why I'm urging folks to really push towards entrepreneurship. It is one of the keys to actually being free. So one rapid fire question that'll lead into another one. Did you have to have any formal training or education to go into this tech field and have success?
No. I mean, I'm a constant student of the universal truth. So it's never going to die.
You talking about that earlier.
I'm always going to be learning. I'm always going to be studying. So for me, I'm never off the clock in school. I'm always there. Even if I'm teaching you, I'm still learning. Right? Your response to my teaching is even a learning. Right? So it's all a part of that. So technically, no. Formally, no. But I tell you one thing I did learn. My mom and dad taught me how to study people. And so people skills and understanding people and the nuances of humanity and how it works is really what takes slavery off of you. Right? I keep using that word because it really is serious. Like, people don't understand that America is a legitimate business. The whole thing is a business. And so how do you get outside of that space? For me, it took me actually traveling. It took me going outside of the U.S. to actually learn more about my own country, if it's so called that, right? So I'm just saying. So when I went to China was the first time I recognized that we were really in debt in America. Like, America's really indebted to China. Like, we owe trillions of dollars for real. And I had to learn that if I want to play in a real space, I got to build a relationship directly to the people who understand that this ain't everything, right? So it ain't just America. So now, you know, I haven't mentioned this, but I will say this. I'm doing a whole summit with Winnie Mandela down in South Africa next month.
Nice.
And it's a tech summit.
Right.
But again, most of the people they do business with in tech in Africa are from China. That doesn't mean they want to do it that way. It just means that's just the way it is. But when I told them what we were going to do down there, bruh, like, I can't tell you that the reaction has been overwhelming. Like, they're just rolling out the red carpet. Like, we want you to do every year kind of thing. Like, this needs to keep happening. So we're going to bring art and tech, because you know that's what we do.
Exactly.
And because, again, you talk about the carrot, it's really our life source. It's really our cultural resource globally. That's one of our greatest assets is art, right? So we take that and we bridge it, because as I was telling my guys yesterday, this is the first time I've ever seen in American or African history where our young people actually like African music. Like we've never been.
Yeah.
This ain't never happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not making that up. Like if it has happened, I don't know how it could have happened because tech enabled it. You know what I mean? Because through streaming, like we wouldn't even know that what they were up to. We wouldn't even know how they look, what they were doing. We think everybody's in the bush. Like we wouldn't know.
Exactly.
This is the first time we even know that they look like us and roll like us and move like us and probably dance better than us. Like keeping it real.
Probably,
like, so you know what I mean?
Sure.
So all of these marriages are happening right at the same time Black Panther's happening. So there are lots of interesting phenomena happening. So it makes it very natural for me now to take what we do indigenously back home to Africa with tech in hand, in tow, and say, look, family, we all gonna do this together, right? Let's do this the right way and not worry about the Asians and other folk telling us how to do it. We know tech is agnostic. We just drag it in and we play it. Plug and play. Let's go.
Exactly.
Right? And we enable our people to be more powerful. We're doing the same thing with the Prime Minister over in the Bahamas. We're doing the same thing in the Virgin Islands. We're just creating all these unique partnerships with their infrastructure. We're helping them become smarter cities. And again, I thought at one point we were helping them, but I'm realizing more and more now that they're helping us. It's really symbiotic now. It's truly symbiotic. Because, I told you I just left my parents, right? 50th anniversary. That empowered me. But guess what? If I go back there, I got thousands of years of anniversaries to make up for.
Right.
Thousands of years of anniversaries to make up for, bro. Think about that.
That's real.
How much we don't know about ourselves. How many blind spots do we have?
That's real, bro. You said some big stuff, and it's been floating around all the people that were guest speakers today, and it's that traveling component, right?
Boy.
That traveling component. I tell people all the time, there's a lot of, I grew up on the side of town we are right now, which is considered the west side, right? And there's so many people from this side of town that have not seen the outside of 285, right? In any shape, way, form, or fashion. Like when I was on this side of town, my first high school party I went to was in Cobb County, past the Big Chicken. Like I got to the Big Chicken, I was like, bro, where we at? This don't make no sense. Like I think we done went the wrong way, bro. We need to turn around. And so I wasn't used to it, right? My uncle always stayed in Norcross by not too far from Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
And so
my stomping ground.
Yeah, and so that place was like a Tennessee trip for me. Like I had to go to sleep 2-3 times and ask my mama, "Are we there yet?"
Right? I'm out the way.
But the first place I moved to when I turned 18 was Norcross, right? And Norcross gave me a different perspective on life in the city, in the state of Georgia. And then I started to travel a little bit around the nation. And it's like, okay, cool, you're seeing different things in different places. But my thing is getting into the space of traveling the world. Because I tell people all the time, like the world is like a big book, a huge book. And if you ain't traveling, if you're not trying to even travel your state to see what's going on in the neighboring cities around you, all you're doing is looking and acknowledging that there's a beautiful book right there that needs to be read. But the moment you start opening this book, the moment you start reading these pages, is the moment you get exposed to different things. And when we talk about people's worldview, like I'm just so foolish to believe that every single last person on the face of this earth, God called to do a great task. I'm just so foolish to believe that. And I'm also just having to be so foolish to believe that great task does not sit for just you and your household. That great task sits for the whole entire world. How can you impact the world if you've never seen it? How can you create change in your city, in your state, if you've never seen it?
And I'm just foolish enough to believe that what you believe is true.
Facts.
It's all true.
Can I say this? My sister and I were talking this the other day, and I just believe this with every vessel in my body. No matter how many books you read, if you take one good vacation, it's bigger than every single book you read. Exposure, physical exposure, and I don't get me wrong, I'm a reader. I mean, I have a reader.
Yeah.
But exposure, physical exposure. There are families I know who homeschool and all they do is travel the world all year long.
Imagine how substantial that is.
Their kids are going to be leaps and bounds, bro, because they're learning how to count money in different parts of the world, bro. What does that really mean?
Exactly, because if you're just the smartest person in your city, how far is that going to get you?
What is that?
Beyond your city. You know what I'm saying?
We were talking about the book on SOAR, T.D. Jakes' book earlier today. And after this, y'all, we're going to go to commercial. We're going to bring y'all in and we're going to do a round table discussion. But we were talking about this book, SOAR, from T.D. Jakes. The first 2 pages changed my whole entire life. Like in the first 2 pages, he was talking about his dad and how many jobs his dad worked, and then when his dad went into entrepreneurship, and then how young his dad was when he died because he pretty much worked himself to the point of death.
Work balance.
He never positioned himself to be able to develop a business. He just positioned himself to be self-employed and do what he needed to do with his family. But the thing that shook me was his dad had a vision, a plan for his family. Like all his dad desired, the reason he worked so hard was so that he can buy a house so that each one of his kids can have their own room. And when I heard that, I said, wait, bro, Like, do you have a clear, concise vision for your life and your family? Because as y'all know, I just had a daughter.
Right.
And I'm like, what do I want for her? Like, for real, for real. And it was that thing that you just mentioned, the opportunity to be able to travel and learn about the world by traveling the world. Because, baby, you can go to school and you can learn everything you want to learn in school, but guess what? When y'all start talking about them pyramids, Daddy gonna take you over to Egypt, and we're gonna touch that for real. We're gonna ask some questions over there physically.
Right.
You know, when they start talking about Golden Gate bridges, and they start talking about the what's going on in Rome, and they start talking about China and all this other stuff, we gonna go there and touch that.
That's
so
what make it real.
Back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's real.
you can come back and be like, okay, cool. Nah, that ain't for real what they're talking about. This is I went and saw it.
Yep.
I went and touched it.
And it creates an appetite of thirst.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes them want to know more and more
Yeah,
and
yeah,
more. You
yeah.
know, it's not just showing them that; it's the idea of it. Like, oh wow, wait a minute, he showed me that for a reason.
Yeah.
I need to be looking at this other thing
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Daddy,
yeah.
did you see this? We need to go here too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's fundamental
Why we
to
ain't been
growth.
here yet?
Yeah.
Right.
Fundamental to growth, man.
Yeah, man.
Exposure is key.
It
dog.
is, man.
It was one of the biggest things that got me out of the streets, man. I always tell people it wasn't the negative things, you know, the shootouts, getting clapped at or getting robbed and kicked in by the SWAT. It was the genuine exposure and the opportunity to see different ways of living so I could figure out and manifest and come to my absolute truth. What is my truth from all this? You know what I'm saying? And how can I put this into practice? But if you aren't always sharpening those knives, like you said, you know, steel sharpens steel, and just reinforcing your skill set via experience, it's gonna fall by the wayside because you don't have any frame of reference from the power that you have to create with these tools. That's why you got to go beyond the block. You got to, and you know, I had to take 2-3 years to move away and to build myself up so I could come to the block with something. You know what I'm saying? With some knowledge that can present opportunities to get other people to the table to do these things. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
So yeah, for
And so,
sure.
y'all, with that being said, man, we're going to go to our last commercial break for the evening, man. It's your boy, CEO Michael Supreme, the #1 impact creator in the city of Atlanta, with your boy, Dewey da Don, and the GOAT, Craig King. All right, y'all, let's get it.
Instinct Radio,
Y'all
it
ready?
feels good to be here. It's your boy Shout L.O., K.O.P. Right now, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. Instinct Radio. You ain't here, you ain't nowhere. So let's get it.
Cause I'm gonna keep it G real. I don't because you disrespecting me. You disrespect my hood by telling me take off my gas and how gangster I was. You lucky on that day I was acting cool, cuz I told you I ain't got time for that, but today I got time, cuz.
I'ma tell that push, pull up on me. I'm booming like Middle East, mobbing on Italy. Chopping my mini-me. Rap out my sabo, I mean that literally. Heavy artillery, heavy artillery, heavy artillery. Heavy artillery, heavy artillery, heavy artillery.
I'm riding around with some duct tape on a rusty ear. Little 38. Had to smoke, can't hardly wait. Now I'm half baked in my weight. And it's fucked up, cause I'm still here. Third of block and it's still real. Niggas die when they feel. Got heavy iron like a steel mill. Kill Bill when it's combat. Just fall flat from that chit chat. Turfed off like Iraq. Got a young nigga called Click Clack. It's 9 shots for my young buck. If you window shop, nigga fuck 50. KC on my fitted cap. I got a tatted back. We call it Killer City. Ride around with them killers with shit if we feelin' iffy. In the trap counting dirty money. That dirty money, I'm fucking fit. Ask your mom what that butter worth. I got a whip and work. Rigger like shit. Straight up off that stove top. Gotta kiss the work.
I'ma
Cause it's
tell
so real.
that pull up on me. I'm booming like Middle East, mobbing on Italy. Chopping my mini-me. Rap out my sabo, I mean it literally. Heavy artillery, heavy artillery, heavy artillery. Heavy artillery, heavy artillery, heavy artillery. Pull up on me. Pull up on me. Go pull up on me. Go pull up. Pull up on me, I'ma go pull up. Push, go pull up on me. Yeah, pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up. The whip clean, but the 30 dirty, bro. Hold it down for the dirty 30. He got a 30, he shoot from 30. That's long range, that's Steph Curry. Clay Thompson, Mac 11 on. Splash brother when them weapons drawn. This ain't an L, but you read it wrong. Man, Lucky blocked the new Lebanon. Show you if this shit would it come down to that trade pound to compound you and the scoundrels that's round you. Out here, fast, I got a tech for your fitness. They'll kill you in a second if you got it in a minute. Killer City conscience, content where I'm living. I done seen both sides of the fences. Nigga got hit, broad day, no witness. Jay called a L, Nate got a life sentence. Back then, man, I guess I should've listened. We was in class and he started spitting. Look, he gon' catch your body, he gon' catch your body. chillin', little homie, rolling with that Tommy. Pull up on me. I'm booming like Middle East, mobbing no Italy. Chopper my mini-me. Rap out my sabo, I mean that literally. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Pull up on me. Pull up on me. Go pull up. Pull up on me. Go pull up. Pull up on me. I'ma go pull up. Push. Go pull up on me. Yeah. Pull up on me. Go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up. Yeah. Pull up on me, go pull up. Yeah, Calico bustin', sippin', testin', lining nigga like a barber, then reload my clip up. Hectic, I macho dollar, about to move it like chopper, push nigga, gon' get your shit up. Sucker, use a sucker, what you talking? You ain't bout that action, keep on walking. All my niggas bout that walking, talking. All my niggas bout that walking, talking. Hang with them shooters, my shooters got shooters. You bang with no killers, computers. That's just on the Nike. I do it. From whipping them chickens, I'm Brutus. Hustle, nigga, gon' get your sugar up. Hating, nigga, come pull up. 2 Glocks, nigga, no 2 pops. Give me 2 shots, leave a running pull up. Push, nigga, pull up on me. I'm booming like Middle East, mobbing no Italy. Chopper my mini-me. Rap out my sabo, I mean that literally. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Heavy artillery. Nigga, pull up on me. Pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, I'ma go pull up. Push, go pull up on me. Yeah, pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up. Pull up on me, go pull up.
Hello, it's your girl Regina Sunshine with the Living Like a Boss Men show, where we discuss business, occupation, service, and significance, giving our men a place to have a barbershop conversation with a purpose.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle. And this is In-State Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
Hey, what up, y'all? Again, y'all already know who it is. Your boy Michael Supreme, the influencer, creator, the impact coach, the whole nine. And as y'all can see around the round table, man, we got kings for days, right? But I want to introduce you all to another phenomenal brother, Mr. Eckham, that I just met today. He's a phenomenal man. Does a lot of things in the counseling space, a lot of things in the form of entrepreneurship. And so, Eckham, man, what can you tell the people about you, man? What do you want people to know about what you do and who you are, for real, for real?
A lot in a little bit of time, but really my goal in life in general is just to reach and touch as many people as I can.
Got it.
That's a newly found calling, I guess, if you will say. Always been doing it, but never really realized what I was doing. So as a counselor, you know, whatever issues people come to, whether it's families, children, older adults, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, I'm just trying to, if it's just a good word, if it's pointing somebody in the right direction.
We got a caller calling in?
Okay.
Oh, dope. We got a caller. First caller. First caller. All right, cool. What's happening, caller? It's your boy Michael Supreme, man. Who we got on the line?
It's Regina Sunshine.
Hey. Yo, this is Regina Sunshine, the original host of the original Regina Sunshine show. I appreciate you for allowing us to have this platform today, man. What you got for us?
I'm just calling to let you guys know I'm enjoying the show. I'm getting so many messages from friends of mine saying they're writing down all kinds of great nuggets they're getting from you guys. So thank you, Michael Dreamer, my brother, for holding it down for me. I know I said Michael Dreamer, Michael Supreme.
Hey,
the
man, I'm the man with a million names.
Coach in Atlanta.
Man, that's what's up, man. We're praying for you that you get home safe. We already knowing that you're going to be back here in the city in a few hours, extremely safe. We're praying for the whole family that's out there. And again, man, for me, on behalf of all of the boss men that are here today, we definitely appreciate you for this platform to be able to allow our voices to be heard and the message that God gave us to be birthed into the world today. All right?
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be tuning in for the rest of the show. I'm getting ready to get on the road now. See you guys in a couple hours. Have a great rest of the show.
Already.
All right?
Take care.
All right, so Mr. Eckham, man, you do a lot of things in the mental health space, right? Yeah. And you were just explaining to us all the different things that you do in the mental health space, how multifaceted that area is. Right. And so my question for you, you started off the conversation, which is like, with the conversation and the topic that I like to talk about all the time, which is the impact and why you want to create the impact in that area. But if you could expound on that just a little bit before we start this real huge group conversation, like why out of everything that you could have done, right? Out of everything you could have done, why mental health?
Man, probably the best question I've had in a long time. Honestly, I remember what I needed when I was coming up, you know, and not that I had a rough childhood or anything like that, but
I mean, we all go through our struggles, and I just remember at particular points in my life the things that I needed, and I'd like to give that, and offer that to other people.
Right.
As simply put as I can. That's in a nutshell.
That's big, man, and it's phenomenal to see brothers passionate about mental health, because in our community, like that's something like the people that go off to the wars, they come back and they do the post-traumatic stress and they get the mental treatment for all of that. But when you look at people that go through the things that our ancestors have gone through, like I had to have a conversation. I call them legacy holders, right? Like the mother of my child, her grandmother is very on edge about a lot of things, right? Leaving the house at certain times, a whole nine, and like they would call her mulatto because she's literally like white, but she black. And so for her back in the day, it was a struggle. It was different. And so I had to ask myself, I've heard of my uncle, the things that he went through back in the day. I heard the things my mother went through back in the day. And for a period of my life, I didn't understand how close, like that time, slavery and segregation and all of that was to where I am today. And so I'm like, Mom, if they give soldiers mental treatment for what they go through over there, how come our people aren't focused on getting this mental treatment? Because what we went through, like that was traumatic. And it's the thing, it passes down from generation to generation to generation if it's not treated. So I just commend you in this moment for being a brother, not even just a black brother, just a man, period, willing to step up and say, this is where I'm taking charge. This is where I'm planting my flag to make sure that people in general, not just our people, but people in general are growing into this mental area, because that's, if you want to change somebody, you got to change their mind first. And so, like, I applaud you for the work you're doing, for real. And so, we're going to do right now, Kings.
Let's literally applaud him.
Right.
There we go.
I
feel the need
Let's
to do
go.
that. That's just an untapped area in our community.
So overlooked.
Super necessary.
That's real.
Mental health.
And so what we're going to do right now, Kings, is we're going to say a quick prayer as we go into this round table discussion. And then after we pray, we're going to say amen, and we're going to toast up on this Basil Me. We're going to dive all in, whatever direction God wants us to go in, all right? So all heads bowed. Heavenly Father, Lord God, I pray thank you for blessing us all with the opportunity and the platform today, Lord God, to be able to allow the people to not see us, but only see you, Lord God. I thank you for the gifts, the talents, and abilities that you place inside of each and every last one of us as individuals, that we may be able to move forward in the world and do the work that you called us to do, Lord God. I pray thank you for giving us all a heart, a spirit, and a mind of unity, Lord God, understanding that even though you gave us visions, even though you gave us tools, even though you gave us resources, Lord God, the change that you desire to see in this world will not be the change, will not be created just by us and us alone, Lord God. It takes the collective of multiple individuals coming together with the same passion, with the same drive, with the same heart, and that same passion, same drive, and heart, Lord God, to be able to create the change that you desire to see in this world right now, Lord God. And it's in your name we pray, amen. All right? So, King, let's go ahead and toast up. And so, for all those that don't know, just getting in the show a little bit late, we got the Basil Me, right? Basil Me, Basil Lemonade, created by Mr. Ryan Dunn right here. And so, we're going to toast up on the Basil Me. Here we go. All right, we got Mr. Jack Trey in the belt. Jack, hold on, one more toast. One more toast, Jack in here. All right, cool. All right, y'all, let's go.
Yes, sir. Here's the anti-aging.
I
picked that up already. I did hear him say that.
Right? So your first time hitting the Basil?
Not my first time.
Oh, yeah. I'm out here supporting, baby.
I got some of this in the fridge already. Sorry.
I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. Boy,
don't tell me everybody at this table already knew each other in some shape, way, form, or fashion.
Indirectly or directly.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know you. You're the only one. Yeah, I was about to say, but I just seen you somewhere. We done rubbed shoulders somewhere. You know what I'm talking about?
With this guy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Basil Me has made his way around.
Hey man, you see what he's doing. All right, y'all. So here we go. Conversation, topic, God, right? Where we at? I say this statement. If it's something that's on your mind, you want to just put out that has nothing to do with what I asked about, go for it, right? But let me ask this question first, right? We hear this statement all the time, right? And the statement is, when you die, right? On your tombstone, there's going to be two numbers: the day you were born and the day that you died, right? But the only thing that really matters is the dash that was in between, right? That dash that was in between, whatever you did while you were here, right? I've had several situations in my life that have shifted my whole entire mindset on everything. Last year, I had a death experience where I died twice in drowning at a waterfall, right? And in that experience, God showed me a lot of things, brought forth a lot of revelations. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in a drastic car accident, right? A drastic car accident in which I pulled over on the side of the highway just to feed my daughter like I normally would. And as I got done feeding my daughter and was thinking about climbing over the median to get back into the front of the car or walking out of the car to get back into the front of the car, a car came and just drastically crashed into the back of us, parked, right? My first time being in an accident, period. And so because I am who I am, I understand that everything happens for a reason. I was distraught because I couldn't understand why that was happening to me in that moment, right? I was totally distraught on that. I was also messed up because I knew that it was a 2-second thought to jump over that median and get to the front seat or to walk around the car and get to the front seat. And my third thought wouldn't have been a thought, it would have been action. And if I would have took action in that third second, I wouldn't be here today to have the conversation we're having right now, because if I would have climbed over the median, when that car hit, I would have been paralyzed in some shape, way, form, or fashion. If I would have got out of that car the way that car hit, I would have been probably definitely not here at all, period. But God blessed me with the opportunity to freeze up in that moment. And I'm like, why? And then the furthest thing that was from my mind when the situation happened, that resonated after, my mother said she was at the house and my god sister's son came into her room, frantically waking her up, right? Frantically shaking her, waking her up, and she didn't want to get up. But when she got up, this is a 4-year-old boy. This 4-year-old boy said, your son is dead. That's the only thing he said out of his mouth, your son is dead. And she jumped up, she's like, what, who? Because she has 2 sons, myself and my brother. And so my government name is Calvin. And so he's like, Calvin is dead. My mother told me this a day after the accident, but that happened hours before the accident. And so what I knew in that moment was that I'm here, I'm living, I'm in the flesh, I'm right here. So it wasn't death in the physical for me. It had to be death in the spiritual for me. And what God was showing, when I sat down and meditated and worked on developing that relationship that we talked about earlier with God, like not being in connection with him, not being in connection with him through somebody, but my personal solid relationship with him, what God showed me, what he told me was, brother, I blessed you with so much knowledge, so many talents, so much gifts, so many things that you can do to help transcend the world. But you've been doing it as a private, exclusive agent for a select group of individuals. But the calling I gave you is for you to be public so everybody can see you and everybody can benefit from the things that I put in you. And you're pretty much, for lack of a better term, half-assing on the gift that I gave you. And I need you to go to work right now. I need you to go to work right now. And I need you to sit down and be connected with me in all things that you do. And so when I got that message and I started to shift a lot of things in my life, like getting Regina, like Regina gave me the platform to be on this show, but now she's a life coach for me, a career mentor for me. And she's the one that told me, like, I knew I did motivational speaking. I knew I did career mentoring. I knew I did the whole 9. I knew I was able to sit down with people and show them how to be able to take whatever they're doing and create generational impact with it. But I didn't know what made me me, what made me different from everybody else. And so when we're talking, and I started talking about this impact situation, she said, that's who you are. You're an impact coach. You're an impact coach. You teach people how to create impact in every shape, way, form, or fashion. And when she said that for me, oh my God, it shifted everything in place. And so for me, leading off, when I talk about the day that I die, like when my time expires, like that dash for me is going to represent all of the different businesses, all of the different ideas, all of the different dreams, all of the different visions that I help birth into the world through the talents and gifts that God has given me. Like it's like my death is going to be like Michael Jackson, Prince, Biggie, Tupac, like Steve Jobs, all in one. Because what I'm understanding, where we are today, it's not about the amount of money you make. It's not about the number of people that know you. It's about the impact that you create. And if your impact is great enough, the money's going to follow. If the impact is great enough, the fame is going to follow. If the impact is great enough, all the other dots that you desire to have in your life is going to connect. But you have to create that solid impact the way it needs to be. And so for brothers, like around the table, like anybody could shoot. Like there's no order in this thing, like just whatever you got.
I have a whiteboard, and in my whiteboard in my office it says success versus significance.
Yeah.
So for me, as a youth, I always cared more about success. As I got older, I realized being significant was far more important.
Yeah.
I needed to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
Change in your pocket versus changing lives, right? So when you just said that, I literally almost cried because it's almost antithetical for me to hear young brothers talk like this.
Wow.
Usually you get to a certain point in your life, then you go, oh, the light comes on. So you had some moments in your life that they were what I call life-changing pages of the book.
Right.
And those once you hit those pages, they usually come through a birth or a serious death. When you get those pages, they changed everything you see about life. Every way you see life changes.
Yeah.
And if you lose a mom or a parent, or you lose a child, you have a child be born, or even a career change, something like really drastic. Right. It's a new whole part. It's a new chapter in the book. Yeah. And so you've hit a couple already. Wow. So I expect certain things to come out your mouth.
Hey,
for sure.
I do. I have to be honest about it.
That's what's up.
And I love you for that.
Hey man, likewise.
So
I guess, you know, some of the things that, and thank you for sharing that. You know what I'm saying?
problem, man.
Most definitely, and I've seen how you have kind of like reacted and kind of put a call to action and kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like sharing your truth and making, you know, other people aware of the things that we're taking for granted, or sometimes we hear the voice but we interpret it wrong. So you know what I'm saying, I applaud you for continuing to walk in faith. You know what I'm saying, and not wavering. One thing that has really been concerning me and like been a little chip on my shoulder, or what I'm trying to really counteract or rebrand, is black excellence. And when I was talking to you earlier and we were talking about the question of, you know, not really receiving the adequate support sometimes from people that look like us when we are going into new entrepreneurship and things like this. And we are at different times, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, back in the days before assimilation happened, we more so owned and governed our own blocks, as far as like I always tell people, you know, sometimes segregation was a bittersweet thing, because when we were segregated, we were actually the owners of the funeral homes, the owners of the gas station, the barbershops. We were making our own products. But, you know, when assimilation came through and these bigger companies kind of swallowed us up. But for now, I've been seeing, when I'm doing a lot of business, and I'm not talking about white folks to black people, I'm talking about black people to other black folks. We have some type of stigma where we don't want to do work with each other because of lack of professionalism, or, you know, things like I'm trying to introduce concepts to people, and I'm like, you know, I was talking to a female the other day, and I'm like, you know, talking about the lack of black nail technicians, or the fact of, you know, we are heavy consumers within this, but we don't really have any representation in the community. She was like, I would never go to a black nail shop. I'm like, well, that mentality is kind of like a part of systematic oppression, but that is going to continue to keep us from elevating and transcending as a race and as a whole, because we don't have that unity. We don't have, and how do we expect for other people to support us when we don't support ourselves? But I do feel like there is some truth in that, because everyone has a bad experience, but then I just feel like a lot of false narratives are out there, and a lot of people are taking one or two or three experiences and basically over applying this. Yeah, just like they say that black men are the least, or we get a bad stick as far as like family and, you know, children and being in our kids' lives, when we know that, well, at least I can say for us three, I don't know if you guys got kids, but we know that we're all dedicated fathers, but the narrative will have you thinking otherwise. But the statistics say that we are actually one of the most involved races. You know what I'm saying? So I just really want to figure out ways of how can we continue to redefine black excellence, how can we create love and unity from within each other, but how can we use the people that are doing substantial things, that have got the platform, that are at the table, how can we come together to make a state of the union and like basically have this system to where we know that we can plug and we can play and we can put brothers and sisters or anybody through a process, and they will come out greater on the other end, and greater in the sense of their financial stability and also the perspective that they need to come back to uplift others. But we are at a loss for love, we are at a loss for support within our own communities, and I feel like we got to get ahead of that. And I feel like we always are so concerned with what other folks think of us when we overlook how we downplay each other every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of self-hate, and we always talking about, oh, you know, the white people, this and that. I know black people that's most scared of black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so how do we rectify that?
Let me ask you this question. Go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, I love that point, man. Of course, I think at this point it's an age-old tale, but what I'm noticing is, I think schools, right? We learn algebra, we learn history, we learn English and all of those things. What we don't learn is how to apply it, right? So they didn't teach us economics, they didn't teach us how to do our taxes, they didn't teach us how to invest, what is a bond, what is a stock, how do we, you know, none of that. But I think the younger generations are starting to see that. They're starting to have that enlightenment. And it's through a few conversations that I've had with some young folks, you know, and it's people like us. It's the entrepreneurs that are out there that are pushing the message, that are doing those things. And so my hope is that at a certain point you'll see those that same talk. I'll never go to a black hair, nail salon, or I'll never do business in a black neighborhood, or whatever the case is. You'll start to see a shift because it wouldn't necessarily be about people being black. It's I think we're know what he's doing. I think we need to service. Right.
And so,
right.
And so for me, Dewey, like, have you ever heard the story of the guy that was at the beach with all the starfish that were out of the water? And he was just walking down the beach and
throwing
starfish in the water. And then somebody came and said, you never get them all. And he's like, yeah, but I got that one. And then he throws another one, yeah, I got that one. He throws another one, yeah, I got that one. Like, when you were speaking, like, I get excited about that conversation because I'm about global domination. I'm about shifting culture worldwide, right? And a wise man once told me back in the day, he said, Jesus changed the whole entire world from 2 cities, with 12 men from 2 cities. And I always known about Jesus and his disciples, but I'm like, how in the world does one man change the whole entire world with 12 men from 2 cities? One, Jesus understood that where he came from, they were never going to see him as God created him because they were only going to see him as the human that he is, right? So he had to leave that place in order to get into a space where people could receive the message that God has given him, right? The other thing is he had to align himself with the right guys or right people that would follow him, right? And then take his teachings, and not just take his teachings, but take them and duplicate them. So the way he was able to change the world from 12 men from 2 cities was he taught 12 to get 12, to get 12, to get 12, to get 12, to go out and evangelize and do what needed to be done in the world to create change. And so when we talk about where we are today, like, I could sit here and I could tell you in a small second how to go from where you are right now and as an artist to being a global brand right now. And I can tell you, when you go from here to here, it's no different from what you're doing right here. But I could tell you strategically how to do that. And it's the same exact thing when it comes to black love, when it comes to supporting each other in business, when it comes to all of this other stuff. It all starts right here. It all starts right here. Like, so many, that conversation pops up in every community that you go into, every roundtable discussion you have. Why don't black folks support each other? Like, why are we always doing this, or why do we talk bad about each other the whole nine? If you ask the person that asked the question, there's no shot to you, but it's just in general. Like, if you ask the people that ask the question, like, how often do you support black businesses? How often do you go in the place and you talk in a positive way about the black people that are doing phenomenal things in the city and around you? And in a lot of cases, maybe 8 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10, you'll find that these people don't even step foot in a black business. Right. Like, so it's like, you're not a dentist, but you're going to tell me how to take my tooth out, right? You got an issue with the way that this dentist is taking my tooth out, but you're not a dentist, and you never went to school for it, the whole nine. And so, like, what I challenge everybody to do in relation to that statement that you made, or that thing you put on the table, is take ownership of your own property. Take ownership of exactly where you are. And when you start supporting black businesses, and when you get excited about supporting black business, and you get excited about loving yourself as a black person, and understand how phenomenal and great we are as black people, then all of a sudden, as you walk as the king walks, everything around you is going to be forced to shift in that particular way. People are going to gravitate towards us that say, okay, cool, if that's what he is doing, or if that's what she is doing, then that's what I need to do too. But the change starts with that one person that's sitting in the seats right now. If we can't change ourselves, how can we change somebody else? If we can't get ourselves disciplined and focused to support what support is needed, how can we expect everybody else to do the same thing?
Exactly.
And so that's my spiel on it, You got something for us, Ryan?
Competition, yeah, that's what we're all at. And Ian, I tell the kids or young adults, however you want to term them, all the time. I mean, I don't see why they compete. Anybody got nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, what are y'all really competing for? And it really transcends into adulthood. I mean, not many people are in the upper echelon of doing things, so you're competing with the person next door for no reason at all.
Right.
So that's why the platform of aquaponics, man, and that brings a sense of community back. Because personally, I feel like it doesn't exist now, but if your neighbor is doing aquaponics and both of you guys are doing things agriculturally, then your neighbor isn't this isn't a Christian show, right? He isn't a nigga. He is a nigga John. He's James, and James grows apples during the season. Right. So that means you don't shoot your neighbor who has apples, you know what I'm saying? Because you know that time comes, you guys are going to barter. Right. And that's what I feel like gets back to that communal sense, having that feeling of belonging. That's why you see kids looking like other kids. That's why you see kids looking like rappers. That's why you see the young chicks with the same weave. Nobody are themselves. Everybody is trying to be something else. Nobody's being comfortable in their own skin. Like how you said, you crazy enough to believe that everybody is birthed with a gift that to make a change in the world. Yeah, if we all believe that, the world would probably be a totally different place. But at the end of the day, yeah, man, uplifting. It's like somebody tagged me in on Facebook the other day about how Basil Me is flourishing, and he would just wanted to shout me out. Me and another guy. Shout out to Kennard too, man. Kennard Brooks from Augusta, Georgia. Seymour Harrison. These guys graduated maybe 2 years before me, but Seymour is actually the guy who has the daughter who did the Redbone song, the Girl Scout cookies. That's my partner from high school. They just decided to do a parody to sell Girl Scout cookies, and it went viral for almost 5 million views, I'm thinking. So, my man just tagged us both like, yo, both these guys from Augusta, never better time to be a Spartan, our Glen Hills, our school mascot. And yeah, man, that was love. And I was like, and I told her, like, bro, we don't do what you just did enough. I mean, not that I expect people to hit me up all the time, like, hey, man, keep doing a good job. But he specifically set that post aside and say, look, let's give these brothers some love because they are doing what we should be trying to do. That's real. And I feel like we don't just do that. We don't do that enough. I mean, I think we're all what we come from in mental health. Kids to grow up to have bills and responsibilities. We still want a good pat on the back every now and again. We still want to say, hey, good job. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for looking out.
Esteeming
whatever
each
that
other.
is.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
esteeming each other.
I mean, we're social beings, and so what I think we've gotten ourselves into is a lot of people focus on the negative aspect. So that's where the trash talk and the downplaying and all of that comes from. But the support, that's the other side of the social, part of us, and that's what uplifts us. That's what gets us to the point where you're encouraging other entrepreneurs, and you can have at a certain point in community that's self-sufficient. You don't rely on anybody, and that's kind of the message I was getting when you were talking about tech and your ventures, doing all of that. I mean, even in the book of Romans, Paul is telling them, do your own work so you don't rely on anybody else. Exactly. I mean, and so if there's any other message to take from that is, well, maybe entrepreneurship is what we're supposed to be doing.
Period.
Yes.
Right. Period.
I want to say something to that, though, before we get too far away from that. I first of all, I think that we need to make sure we hear from you on that subject, because there's a lot of psychological stuff that happens with post-traumatic slavery syndrome.
Yes.
So we have to really delve into that more. We don't talk about that enough. We touch on we go to church every Sunday, we go to the mosque every whatever, but we don't really dial into that space enough, because there are a lot of things that have happened to us as a result of slavery that we don't discuss. And one of those is coming back home and supporting our own business.
Exactly.
When we had to do it, we did it. When things were segregated. But when we got options, we were allowed to go and move out in other communities, we said, man, why am I going out across town to that? We owe ourselves that.
Come on.
And the other part of that is, I don't like serpent brothers. I don't like dudes that talk out of both sides of their face. I don't like split tongues. If you got this G code about no snitch, if that's your thing and we police ourselves, okay, why don't you also take that same mental code and say we support ourselves?
Exactly.
Why can't we do that? If you don't be on some note, we don't need them to make don't need nobody. The cops would holler at me about child support. Okay, I hear you, bro. That's your story. I hear you, bro. I feel you.
He touched the
but
one without
this man right here, but then you want to hook up on everything we come through the hood. You always want to hook up.
Right.
Make up your mind, though.
Exactly.
If you don't need them, then don't need them.
Exactly.
That's real. You feel me?
That's real.
Yeah, that's real.
No, you're right, and that actually yields productivity.
The code. Well, what about this code?
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Support your people.
That's the thing.
Productivity.
When you don't know yourself,
that's too
right. When you don't know yourself, when you don't know who you are, and you don't know whose you are, you just gonna do what you just explained, which is you take action and start acting like the world wants you to act, right? You start acting and acting like an actor or actress of the way the world wants you to be. And so that concept of, oh, I'm not a snitch, but I'm not gonna support over here, like, they don't even see this as an option.
That's right.
Because the world tells them this is exactly how it's supposed to be. Like, listen here, baby mama, like, you a baby mama and you supposed to act this way. Yeah. Listen here, baby daddy, you a baby daddy and you supposed to
outside the house.
Right?
Like, yes to the bonnet outside the house.
For real.
Yeah, I said.
No, for real. No. Like whatever the standard is, for us as a people, the world has created that as our norm. And nobody is challenging that. Like, well, I ain't gonna say nobody. You got some people here and there sporadically that are challenging it, but you have nobody that's aggressively. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like these aggressively challenging that, because the issue isn't the white folk. The issue isn't other races. The issue is right here at home. Yeah. Right here at home. For some people, the issue is literally at home, in my bedroom,
is home.
In my bedroom, in the next room. That's where the issue is, because people go and they lay with people that don't even support them.
Yep.
People go and they
rightfully so though. Rightfully so though. If you disrespect your women all day, and then you don't spend money in your community, but then you get mad when other people come in and police you,
it makes no sense.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
You've allowed it to happen, and I mean, you can't get mad when things don't go your way, when this is what you've set it up for. You know, you've set yourself up for this type of lifestyle, this type of community.
The problem is, we don't know. As a people, we don't know that we set ourselves up for this. We don't know that we made the conscious decision that based off of what we saw that our parents do when we were younger, what we consistently see on TV, what we consistently hear on the radio, the things that the programming that we put into ourselves. We decided that this was going to be our norm. But when we get into our older, more mature forms, and we decide to take ownership for our own life, and we decide to say, okay, cool, this is what the world is giving me, but there's another option somewhere. And so in order for me to find this other option, I might need to get on YouTube University, like
education,
we talked about earlier, and start listening to people that are talking differently, right? If I can't get it, like I talked to people on the live I did about fame and money, and you know I'm flipping everything back to a spiritual place, but on this money concept, it's like, dude, I give you a blank check today, and we're gonna have to round out in a second. I give you a blank check today, how much money would you put on it? People on the live commenting, talking about 4 million, 1 billion, like all of this other stuff. It's like, that's great, but you know how I know that that's not what you really want? Because you don't have a single $1 million mentor. Like, you haven't even went to pick up a book that a millionaire created. You haven't even went to click a button on a computer to listen to a millionaire speak. You don't want to be a millionaire. You don't want to be a billionaire. You like the idea of it. But what you're comfortable at is what the world gave you.
Yep.
Because in order to get out of that, it's going to take growth. And then growth is going to hurt. Like, it's not always going to be good. It's going to take sacrifice. You're going to have to remove family. You're going to have to remove friends. You're going to have to remove those vices, those things that are helping you stay wherever you are. You got to remove all that. And so it's like everything comes back to personal, comes back to self, taking ownership of who you are and where you desire to be. And like King was saying earlier, like on the tech space, I know he does it for a greater calling for the world. But when it started, I just want my daughter to have options. Yeah. I just want my daughter to have options. Take responsibility of your house, you know? Like, forget the block. Like, forget the community, forget the world. Take responsibility for yourself in your house. And when you do that, when you master that, then you can master everything else. Like, we can't have a global conversation if we ain't mastered who we are, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, and that's just real.
And I got to say this, too. For all y'all so-called bosses out there, remember, you had to be a servant before you became a boss.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
So for what it's worth, just remember, no matter how much bread you got, go back to the community and serve.
Come on, man.
Do it. The greatest amongst you.
Exactly.
Look at the biggest
Don't forget where you came from, man.
Look at the biggest bosses. They're all servants. Look at Jesus.
They all of them.
Look at Jesus. Jesus said, I get on my knees and clean your feet. I get on my knees and clean your feet.
The greatest among you will serve.
All right? And so, guys, what we're going to round out, man. Like, this was a phenomenal show, man. Like, I'm excited. I appreciate all of you brothers for coming through. I appreciate you sliding in and being willing to sit at the seat, man. Yeah, like, for real.
Already.
Like, I see some phenomenal things happening through the collective of each and every last one of us at this table. Like, being able to move forward and when a roundtable discussion happens outside of this, us be able to do something that connects tech with mental health, with music, with motivational speaking, with Basil Me, with health, with the whole nine. With impact creation, being able to do something like that to impact culture. I ain't talking about an age group. I'm talking about culture. Yeah. Like, whatever God want to do with that. Like, I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I'm fired up for that conversation to happen. Since for some type of way, we all already knew each other before we got to this thing.
Right.
And so what I want to do right now is for everybody, we're going to go around this way. Everybody to just tell everybody one more again who you are and where they could find you. And one thing you want everybody to take away for anything, from yourself, from life, like anything. And we'll start with you, my brother.
I'm Echo. From here in Atlanta, I think what I'm taking away today is that I want everybody to honor God in whatever they do. And as doing so, you help your fellow man out, and that's where we get to the platforms that we all need to be.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah. My name is Craig King. You can find me on Craig A. King on Instagram. CraigAKing.com is my website. Gentle King Technologies is my company. And I'm all about empowerment.
Dope.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Dunn, Ryan Dunn. Right here in Atlanta, you can find me on Facebook, got Basil, GOTBASIL. Instagram, Basil_me. You can locate me at gotbasil.com. My message to leave you guys with today is, man, check yourself first.
Swag, man. That's a great message, man. Dewey da Don, one half of Urban Republic. You can find me on everything at Dewey da Don, DEWEYDADON. Make sure that you link in and lock in, tap in with your boy on the music. Urban Republic 2 on everything. That's Urban Republic 2, urbanrepublicmusic.com. And what I want to leave everyone with, man, is just take pride in everything that you do. If your name is behind something, whether that be your community, whether that be you at your 9 to 5, like whatever you're doing, if you're stepping that with your name, take pride in it. You know what I'm saying? And exceed whatever expectations people are placing on y'all. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people look at us and they think that we are destined to fail. And sometimes we prove them right. But just exceed those expectations. Take pride within yourself, man. We are kings and queens, and we're here to manifest and create. So let's do it.
Dope. And for y'all that don't know, and for those that do know, I go by the name of CEO Michael Supreme. I'm Atlanta's #1 impact coach. And I'm excited about everything that's going on right now. Excited about each and every last brother that's on this platform today sharing this spot with me. And if it's one thing that I want you all to take away from today, man, the one thing I want you all to take away is that everything in your life starts with you. When you decide to take 100% ownership of yourself, 100% ownership of your situations, it don't matter good, bad, and indifferent, it's your fault. Good, bad, or indifferent is your fault. Take 100% responsibility of your life, and your life will start to shift. And as we close out, man, like Regina Sunshine always does, I want to leave you all with the boss mandate. And the boss mandate comes from Joshua 1:6-9. It says, be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the laws my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from them, right or left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. All right? And so the slogan for the Boss Men Show, as you all know, our men need each other and our community need our men, y'all. And so again, for all those that don't know, it's your boy CEO Michael Supreme, Dewey da Don, Ryan Dunn, Craig King, and the big homie Eckham right here, y'all. And so it was a pleasure to be able to be a guest host on today for the Regina Sunshine Living Like a Boss Show. All right, y'all, let's get it.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is In-State Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
God loves you just the way you are. You are beautiful because you were created in love. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You have the seeds of greatness within you. You were born to live a victorious life. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. You are worthy of the best things in life.